Retro, let's get it. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. Yeah, it's lit in the chop shop. Turn your dials up in the drop top. They ain't based to debate, but they keep it fact straight. Going 30 for 30, let's do it first take.
I'm so sorry. Hold on. H-Town, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas, but we're broadcasting all over the world via Facebook Live and YouTube Live. We got some special guests coming today. This JY Day is Yates. It's going to have so much of a Yates flavor today. If you don't like red and gold, you might not want to watch this show today. And but Jimmy, I'll let you take it from there so we can start introducing our guests.
Yes, well, it's going to be a great day. First, we'll get right into it. And understand this is going to be historic on the Chop Shop, as this will be our largest show in the 4-year history of the Chop Shop. So once again, for those of first-time viewers, this is not your ordinary type sports talk show. Give you the disclaimer already. Hey, it goes down on the Chop Shop. That's Robert Hatter, he just said. I'm Jim Hicks. But first, how about going into this day? Because Hatter, I know you the Eddie Haskell of this bunch. Sometimes you call me a heathen sometimes. So we're gonna need a little prayer to get off on this day. That's what we do first of all. We gonna pray over you because you're a man of the cloth, right?
Jimmy, give me a second. Okay, I'm just trying to fix the screen. It's just so many moving parts going on. Okay, there we go. All right, now finish. Let's go.
Now, as I said, we're gonna start this day off with just I guess to insert some grace into what we are trying to accomplish. So yes. I introduce to you guys Reverend Marcus D. Cosby. Cosby, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. I got it. That's my man. I got you, Doc.
It's a chop shop.
Hold up. As one of his preacher friends said, Marcus preached like a madman Cosby. That's what they call him.
Oh my!
How you doing, Pastor?
I'm great and getting better, but Jimmy, how you doing, man?
Man, how's it going?
Good to see you. Good to see everyone who's with us today, and excited about Jack Yates Senior High School, those state championships who do wonderful champions who do wonderful work, and we're grateful that we can claim them as Third Ward's finest. And I'm glad to be with you today.
Okay, Jimmy, you want to introduce the rest of the guests?
Yes, and the rest of the guests, we have 2 more on the screen. And as you guys can see, one, of course, we go with ladies first, and this is Camille Foster. She's the Deputy Chief of Staff for Boris Miles and been doing a spectacular job. She's definitely one of the movers and shakers in the greater Houston area. No, in the Texas legislature area. Because they know when she comes stepping up in there, one thing about sisters, when some of them walk in, you can hear the shoes tapping on that slab before they come on in. And so guess what? Camille, we welcome you today. And of course, our next guest that's joining us on the screen is Andre Walker. He's the director of athletics for Houston Independent School District, the 4th largest school district in the United States of America. And welcome both of you. But first, Camille, how are you doing today?
Jimmy, hold up, Jimmy. Camille, take your mute off.
I'm just happy to be
here. There you go.
Okay. No, you good.
Camille, can you hear us?
I can hear y'all. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you good.
Yeah. First of all, give us your reflections. What does Jack Yates High School and what does the school mean to you?
I mean, Jack Yates High School means a lot, not just to me, but to this community. It means a lot to my boss, Senator Boris, a graduate from Jack Yates. He wanted to be here today to congratulate them, but couldn't. But it's the foundation and it's the heart of foundation. It's what we look for and what we look forward to be here. I mean, families, you have history, you have generational history where grandparents, great grandparents went to this school, uncles. So it was us to be able to celebrate them and to be blessed to have them in this community. You know, high schools are the souls of Black community, and without those, you lose your identity. So Jason, like I said, it's the heart of this community.
Jimmy, you got another guest on the?
Absolutely. I introduced him a while ago as far as I gave him the name, but now you guys have put the name with the face. This is Andre Walker, the Director of Athletics for Houston Independent School District. And Andre,
yes,
can we
sir.
see you on that? You beamed him in, Hatter?
Yeah, he's in.
All right. How's it going, Andre?
Man, it's going well. How about with you all? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Man,
sir. Loud and clear.
hey, you're a product of HISD,
Yes, sir.
a school that didn't have no problem shaking Yates off year to year. What school? Tell them about that.
I'm a 1991 Cashman graduate. of
Oh,
Cashman Senior
man,
High
get
School.
out of here.
Yes.
Get out of
Yes.
here. That's why he said that.
Trinity Garden, born and raised.
And
Hey.
Pastor, the reason I'm saying that is Jimmy, that's where he graduated from.
Oh,
So that's
man.
why.
Oh.
That's why oh my goodness.
Hey,
He's a
hey,
homer. He's a homer.
Pastor knows about the third. See, it's one thing about the north side. We dip our lids a certain way from the south side, dip theirs the other way. Tell him about that, Walk.
No, you're right. You got it on point, brother. You know which way, the way we do things just a little bit different. Those are our brothers and sisters. We love them to death. We do things just a little bit different.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Speaking of a little bit of different, now Jack Yates coming into this position of being the overseer of the athletics in Houston Independent School District. A lot of people did not understand it was a change, and Yates was winning and win the state before you got there. And so, and a lot of people, I remember a few years back, were discouraged because Yates had decided to go to Hawaii one year, right? And then people wonder why Yates got to go to Hawaii, but no other school everybody else had to play in the HISD old JC's tournament. And how much flack did you guys get down at the central office because of that?
Well, as you know, I came into the department after leaving Cashmere Senior High School as an assistant principal. Came into
Say it with your chest, Andre. They
don't.
they think your red stand for something else over there.
But I came into the department in 2012, and of course, you know, when I first got here, I was over basketball, and that year Yates went to state basketball that year. But to talk about what you're speaking about them going to Hawaii, why wouldn't you allow a group of student athletes an opportunity? They were invited, so why wouldn't you allow them that opportunity to go and see somewhere where they may not have another opportunity to actually go and see a place like Hawaii? So it was really a no-brainer. I mean, again, they were invited. They were very, very good that year, one of the best in the nation, and I think they may have ended up number one in the nation that year. I don't remember, but you don't deny teams and young student athletes that opportunity. You just don't.
And Pastor Cosby, let the viewers know that may not know you and be abreast of you and where you are and what church, what congregation that you officiate in the Houston area.
Yeah. Well, I'm privileged to be the pastor of the Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church, which is just a few blocks away from Jack Yates Senior High School. And we have several members of our congregation who are alumni. We have several who are teachers. Coach Greg Wise is a member of Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church. We have a wonderful family that is committed to Jack Yates, because that's our community school. And I'm delighted to be a part of this community known as Third Ward. I'm representing my JY. I got my jacket on from 2012 championship.
That thing kind of snug on you, Pastor.
A little snug, but hey, it's a little snug. But I'm excited to celebrate and represent the community in which Jack Yates has been sitting for a very long time.
Now, Camille, tell us now, in the community, what advice, we're going through I guess a revitalization with a lot of people mentally of the recent transgressions or the recent incidents around the country. What advice can you give people? We got elections coming up in next month and next year. I mean, and in November the 3rd. Tell us something how we can get the power, get everything growing. I mean, swirling inside of their cups out here.
Most importantly, you got to vote. I mean, you got to make sure that you get out there and you vote and you cast your vote. I mean, I know people like to think that my vote doesn't matter, but that's not true. It's self-evident in the elected officials. When you the best candidate, you get the best out of your community. I mean, I want to pat my back, but I think we have one of the best senators. He fights for his community. Even when he's sick, even when he's down, he's going to keep fighting for his community. Jack Yates is a school that he loves and he's been there. So for us, we have to fight. I mean, we're at this particular point as Black, COVID is hitting us. People are at home. And then after COVID, in the middle of COVID, we find out about Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. We have the incident. We have Amy Cooper, who by all accounts supposed to be a Democratic white woman. She votes for us. She gives, but she make a call that would have gotten a Black man killed. So you have to make choices that are wise. You can't stay silent anymore. You have to talk to your community leaders. You have to talk to your kids, talk to your grandparents, talk to your friends, and tell them they have to go vote. If you're not registered, go get registered. But be active. The community needs you, the future of your community. And so you don't want to let, when you don't vote, you get school board members that don't necessarily care about your school.
And Mr. Walker,
it would be a waste to leave.
Oh, sorry about that. That froze up on us a second. Yeah. Mr. Walker, last question. When can we expect? Yeah, I'm sorry, Miss Foster.
You good.
Ms. Walker, first question real quick before we end. We got 1 minute left. Okay. Will there be football in HISD this fall? Number 2, when do you expect the schools to resume?
So number 1, the plan is that football season starts as scheduled. June 8th started strength and conditioning at all of our schools for all sports. It's been going well. The schools that did not decide to start on the 8th started this past Monday on the 15th, and have a few of them that will start on the 22nd as well. And so the plan is, again, for football to be exactly scheduled exactly as it is now. Will that change? I don't know the answer to that. We know things are changing day to day, but as of right now, it's scheduled. It's scheduled, and we're ready to rock and roll. As far as school, when will school start? Not for sure. There's still a lot of things on the table as to how school is going to look when it resumes. And so as we get closer to that time, we'll have more information on exactly what it'll look like.
Hey, man, thanks a bunch. Of course, as you guys know, we just tuned into the Chop Shop. This is a very special day. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and give everybody a chance to get up. Just shower Third Ward, Jack Yates High School with love, even from the north side and up under the Trinity Garden and the trees and the building, the bricks of Cashmere Senior High School, the home of the mighty Rams. But today we're gonna get root for Simba.
You just won't stop.
And so we thank you guys. Thank all of you guys, and of course lady, Miss Camille Foster, for joining us on the Chop Shop. Thanks so much, man, for your time on this day.
Thanks for having us.
Thank y'all. Thank you, Pastor.
Guys,
Thank you.
as you see, we are definitely in rare air with the Chop Shop, and it's going to be hard to get to a lot of your questions, but we will try to do so as we move forward. Just simply push your questions out in the Boom Boom Room. We're streaming YouTube and Facebook simultaneously right now. And
Jimmy, we trying to do something that had never been done, and
never.
we're gonna try it again right now. You keep Jimmy.
Yeah,
I tell you,
hey, you just keep playing the piccolo. I'm gonna keep them dancing over here. So that's what we gonna do. And of course, one of the questions we missed, somebody says, why HISD was attempting to stop Yates' 100-point streak and running the clock. There's no mercy rule in UIL. No one is saying anything when Yates is getting whipped in baseball. That would have been a good question, and we did not get it until afterwards. And but keep them coming. And so next up, we're going to be joined by academic counselor Robert Dooley, as well as the principal of Jack Yates High School, right? And Tiffany Guillory. And so we get right into it. Miss Guillory she's in the dressing room right now, getting, she's getting all beautified, and she's beautiful already. But get ready to come and join us, and we're going to have a convo with Miss Guillory and Robert Dooley. And remember, Dooley was on the Chop Shop a few months ago. Also, he's known as one of the most active and productive academic college counselors in all of town. He goes beyond and beyond the call of duty to get the young people academically qualified.
Jimmy, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure, Principal Guillory, just put your thing on mute right now, because we can hear everything that y'all. Put your thing on mute until we bring you in. Could you do that for us? Can you put it? Put it on mute.
And so, meanwhile, I see all you guys out there in the Facebook land. Shout out to Solo. He's a word in high school grad over there. Waukesha Hayes. I see you. Yolanda Green. I see Yvette. I see you up there. Welcome to the Chop Shop. I haven't seen you in a while, girl. Cam Hill is on there. That's my man with the Cam Hill show. Make sure you guys check that out as well. Shannon Holmes is on there. Kenneth Lofton down in Port Arthur is in the Chop Shop. Speaking of Port Arthur, how about the new athletic director of Prairie View is from Port Arthur.
They can see me.
It's a great thing, and
no, we can't. Yeah. I need you to mute it. We can't see you, but we can hear you. just push the mute button. That's all. But we want to be able to see you also. Yes.
I can't.
Now it's the button to your left. Just click the button. You all right? Just the button to your left. Hey, this is live TV. Hey, we live now. But Jimmy, just go and bring her on. Just bring her on in. Let's go and introduce Miss Tiffany Guillory right now, so she don't have to worry about it. Just introduce her now, and we'll wait about
we can proceed right through it because you've already introduced her. She needs no introduction. She's guess what? As I called her before, she's the HNIC over at Jack Yates High School. That's what she is. She the boss. She the female Joe Clark over at Yates, and this is Tiffany Guillory. How's it going? Welcome to the Chop Shop.
Tiffany, welcome to the Chop Shop. Now you done put your mute button on. Let me see, can I unmute you?
As we wait till she get unmuted, guys, as understanding, we are in rare territory today as we attempt to go through approximately 20 guests on the Chop Shop. And in doing so, remember, many of these guests, the vast majority, did not do pre-show sound checks. So we're coming off the cuffs. This is now as we go, and because we're live, we'll keep going, and I give you guys a shot and look at some of the comments. And I see the JY family is in full effect. I see Rodney Wells is on there, and shout out to Frank White on there, right? And Martin Vaughn. These are guys. Daryl Barnes is over in the YouTube land. Anson Johnson just joined us on the Facebook feed. But
Jimmy,
meanwhile,
until they come back up, until she come back up, I just want to take a few minutes to reflect. I'm from Memphis. I'm not from Houston, but one of the first time when I got here, Ricky Winslow and Carvin Holcomb were the big thing. What's the Johnny the running back Johnny? Y'all help me with his name.
Johnny Bailey.
Johnny Bailey. And I'm just so proud to be able to be a part of something like this because of my school in Memphis, Sheffield High School. We don't have this strong alumni base. We don't have the this like this. So when I see things like this, it just makes me proud that I'm a part of it and try to make this thing. But this day is about. Let's not forget it. This day is about celebrating the young men at Yates High School who state champions again. They state champions again, and we and I just Jimmy, I didn't want to. I want a second. We haven't really talked about that as much, but I'm just so proud of these young guys and this coaching staff, Greg Wise and the coaching staff. So I am so proud to be able to talk about and be able to share this JY Day today. And we're going to have a whole lot of people come on. So I guess Mr. Dooley is there. So Mr. Dooley, now you can push your mute button. Push your mute button so we can hear you. And we're going to, Robert Dooley. There you go. How you doing, Mr. Dooley?
I'm doing very well, Mr. Hatter and Jimmy Hicks.
All right. And we get right into it. Give your reflections back on this past season with the Yates High School and having the season interrupted as a result of the pandemic. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, first and foremost, let me just shout out to the greatest principal any coach or any group of students could have, my boss, Tiffany Guillory. You've heard Greg talk about her, where you get her live and in person today. But this year, we were ready. They were lucky we didn't get to play in San Antonio. And that sounds like I'm bragging, but it's real.
Who was they?
Anybody who was in San Antonio, we would have even taken on Dickinson.
What?
We were ready. We were there. Anybody. We were ready. Our guys were fired up. And I'm not just saying it. Greg will tell you the same thing. They were ready. They were going to destroy Faith Family. I'm just going to put it out there. That was payback. I've never seen Reuben Jones that fired up in my life. You know Reuben, Jimmy. He's laid back, naturally, Iceman, cool. But Reuben was on fire, man. He was going to destroy Faith Family. Now, that's me talking. You know, I'm a Yates fan. But the season was great. We had a wonderful season. And to have it end that way, of course, is disappointing for the kids. We wanted to show it on the court, but with the record and their successes, it was just an outstanding year. And most of our guys, all but one, are going on to school. Not all will play sports. One is going directly to the workforce. So we're proud of them. And we're looking forward to this upcoming year. You know, Greg Wise is not rebuilding, he's reloading.
And now, speaking of academics with the basketball program, explain to the viewers and the audience what exactly you do and your function as it relates to athletics.
As it relates to athletics, because I'm responsible for the college readiness for the entire campus. I work along with the counselors, but specifically for athletics, basketball, we track grades on a regular basis. We prepare them with all of the NCAA eligibility issues. We take care of that. We monitor the core GPAs constantly, and most will make it, but all don't. But we put the plan in place for each individual. We meet regularly, and that's very important, that we meet regularly. We don't just panic at report card time. We're monitoring throughout the entire year. before and after the season. So that's very important. We also try to support testing for as the SAT, ACT. Our district provides actually free test prep.
And so last year you had a young man that was like top 5% of the class that was on the basketball team program at Yates, and he went over to University of Houston. And tell us about that, and who was the I guess the academic star on this season's basketball program.
Okay, there. First of all, Jordan Pemberton. Jordan was a 4-year varsity letterman, but ultimately he ended up as a role player. It was a struggle for him to accept that, but he ultimately accepted that. But throughout his entire career at Yates, he was ranked in the top 10, not top 10%, top 10, and it was either 1 through 5. He never went below 5. He also had possibly the highest SAT score in the building. And because of that, he was awarded a scholarship to the Honors College at the University of Houston, and has networked himself from the vice president of this and that. And Jordan even had an opportunity to develop a return to campus program that the university is going to implement parts of. So very outstanding young man. Now this year, there are really two. Now the top ranked senior was Elijah Elliott, but we have a junior, Jabraylon Vaughn, and a guy you two know, the littlest guy out there, little Johnny Carswell.
Yes, sir.
He wasn't a varsity player, but he's number 1 on the charts right now. Very outstanding. Little Johnny played JV, but he was number 1 in the books.
And so lastly, what advice can you give a parent out there going back into school? A lot of schools going back at different dates. A lot of people have been virtual learning over the past month, a couple of months. What advice can you give out there to the parents of student athletes to share their sons or daughters on the course and have not lost any ground towards getting qualified?
You have to monitor. You have to know what's going on, and you have to make sure they stay focused. It's actually an advantage to have distant learning if you take advantage of it. And this is not negative on our kids, but they're not necessarily as hungry and aggressive as they should be in some cases. So it's up to the parent to know what's going on and make sure that work is being completed. This is actually an opportunity to increase some GPAs and everything else because they have more time to work with.
We got 30 seconds. What's your last words of encouragement you have for the Yates High School basketball program after this year as a whole?
Well, just continue to do what you do. For those who are moving on, know you represent Yates. And for those who are returning, understand you're still playing for Greg Wise, so there are expectations.
Hey, Mr. Robert Dooley, guys, Jack Yates High School, man, we definitely appreciate it, Mr. Dooley, man, and all you do for the youth over at that school. You are indeed, and you mentioned earlier, I want to add amend to it. You mentioned Jordan Pemberton saying that he was a role player, a kid that's ranked in the top 5 in his class academically. That's the best role player you can have on the team, indeed, because that's the 40-year plan, not a 4-year plan for him. So appreciate it, and thanks so much for joining us, okay?
All right, thank you, and I appreciate you too, man. I know for a guy from Cashmere Garden, it's tough to highlight Yates, and Mr. Hatter, you've always been good, but I know it's a struggle for Jimmy.
Hey, we got the red in common. That's the common denominator.
That's right, and we got Willie Patrick.
Okay, I got you. I like that.
Okay, that's right. Of course, thanks a bunch. And Willie Patrick, guys, is indeed assistant coach over at Yates High School basketball team, and he is graduated from Cashmere High School. I think in 79. He was or 80. It was for Willie Patrick, nicknamed as many people in the Fifth Ward area, Cashmere Garden, Trinity Garden, Mo Willie Patrick. Coming up next, we have a couple of a trio of guests that are expected to join us. And as Haller's, he's working on the ones and twos, everything in order. And meanwhile, I'll give you guys a couple of tidbits that a couple of notes.
Are you finished with Mr. Dooley? Jimmy, are you finished with Mr. Dooley?
Yes, sir. I can hang up.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. Were you able to get Miss Guillory?
No, we wasn't able. She was on the line, but she wasn't able. She didn't come in. So
she had audio and video difficulties.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Take it easy.
Thank you.
All right. And so the next guest is Hatter gets ready to cue him on in and so we streamline. And once again, if you just tune into the Chop Shop, we're going to ask you guys, if you're on the YouTube feed, give us a thumbs up on that page. If you're on the Facebook, this is the perfect time to share the show. And let's share the show and get the support out there.
Perfect time, Jimmy, because we got special guests coming up right very, very shortly.
Yes, indeed. And so you can share the show right now. I see Brian Jolivet on the feed right now. Shout out to Brian Jolivet and Jonathan Griffin up in the house. I see John Carswell up in the house. And I mean, Sonia Billingsley. Just welcome everybody to the Chop Shop on this, what we call Baby Friday. It's Thursday, guys. You know how we rock on the Chop Shop. But then, of course, coming up next, once again, we have a trio of guests that are going to join us. But meanwhile, as Hatter gets ready to cue them on up, then I'll share with you some NCAA news that on yesterday, they approved plans for men and women's basketball to allow them to indulge in some athletic activities on July the 20th. Now, meanwhile, it was widely anticipated that the NCAA would provide live events for Division I coaches to come out, and that would happen on August the 15th through the 16th. However, that motion has been delayed, and they will revisit that in a couple of weeks. And guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, it don't look like it's gonna be live. Period. If you guys in the basketball sector this year. Meanwhile, we'll go.
Come up in the screen too, Jimmy.
And we'll go and get and toss it right to our next trio of guests.
Yes. We
have with us, joining us, we have Mo Hobson, we have Santana Dotson, we have Roland Martin, we have and we have guess what, another trio of Jack Yates Lions up in the house. And want to welcome you guys. And as Roland gets queued up, Santana, and you guys can unmute your mics on the screen so we can get the conversation going. Roland, you're there. How's it going? Welcome to the Chop Shop, Roll.
All good. Glad to be here in Northern Virginia. Of course, staying out of harm's way with this coronavirus nonsense, but it's all good. I wish I could get back to H-Town, but I ain't trying to mess my lungs up. I like my lungs. My lungs are money makers. I ain't trying to mess that up.
Smart man.
So now, Santana, I mean, you've been doing great things in the community, man. Reflect on Yates High School and what your experience and your education now, what has it done for you in your life? Cut your mute off.
Cut your mute on, Santana.
He was not a part of the Yates School of Communications, as you can tell.
There we go. There we go. That's the high technology. I can hear you though, Roland. I can hear you.
I'm just letting everybody know he was not in SOC. Damn thing on mute. I'm just saying,
Okay.
As always, man. What to go to the aforementioned question, man? Yates was the foundation. That's the best way I could put it. It was the foundation, and it set the standard. So, I'm sure a lot of my cohorts and classmates would agree that the standard was set as we walked through those walls, those halls and corridors, and everything that we did or are doing now is a reflection of that. We want to make the community proud, and we want to feed back in abundance in everything we're doing, whether it's media or on the field or in the community with community service. It's just part of the foundation and everything I did, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And now, Mo, explain to me what year did you come out of Jack Yates High School? And did you know? Huh?
Yeah, you got all 87 here, baby. You got all 87 right here, baby.
Tell us, Mo. Tell us what sport did you play at Yates? Let them know. The viewers know.
Well,
He was a
my
swimming
size,
team.
I certainly wasn't no cheerleader.
He was a
I
swimming
was
team.
I was a football player, so I'm
As we waiting to get them in, we have a little video difficulties, and he's back in a little hiccup.
Yeah.
Mo, you
Okay.
could.
Yeah, I'm a class of 87, 1985 state champion. These gentlemen that you have on the show right now, they're my classmates, Roland and Santana, very good, dear friends of mine. And so, I think Santana said it best, man. Yates was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life. Being a part of that team, the camaraderie of it, the hustle, the grit, the attuneness of our teachers that had on us, how they pushed us, how they gave us the business. Yates is definitely a big part of my life coming up.
Roland, I would be remiss if I did not ask you this question. And I got, this is the chop shop, so we chop it up sometimes.
All right.
What the hell is going on down at your college at A&M?
It's the same thing going in America. White people. Here's the thing that I think people don't seem to understand. We have created this thing where we somehow believe that
We got a heck of a. I guess I'm the only one in the chop shop right now. What I'm going to try to do, because I think it's because we got so many people tied to one situation, it just wouldn't, it just didn't happen for us. But I'm going to try. What we're going to do, I might take a break. No, we can finish. I'm just trying to figure out a way. I'm trying to figure out a way to get these gentlemen back into the show. Just hold on 1 second. If we can just pause for a second and just give me time to get Jimmy back in. I'm going to make a new call and get these guys back in for you, because we were just about let's get Jimmy in. Let's try. Y'all walk me through it. Roland. We're going to get Roland in. And we're going to get Santana in. I got him. And we're going to get Mo in. And we're going to try these guys again. And Mo in a whole nother feed. Let's get Mo in. Okay, we got it. All right, now we're going to try it again. I'm going to get those guys in. I'm still here because I guess I'm the executive of the page. I'm the producer. But just hold on a minute. These guys should be back in shortly on a better thing. So something's going on in the system that I hope it will be taken care of. So Roland's back. Okay, we got Roland back already. Yeah, Roland.
I was gone all the time.
Yeah, y'all been gone. Y'all been gone.
Man,
I've been had the show.
Yep, cricket Wi-Fi.
I know. Yes, we got some people on here with some. Yeah. So let me get you back in.
I got great Wi-Fi.
I know you do.
What happened to Mo? Mo got that cricket, don't he? Mo got that cricket.
Y'all got that cricket.
We waiting on Mo. But
I do MSNBC from the crib. I know my stuff good.
I know your stuff good, Doc. I know it's good. hey, it's so funny. I'm gonna tell you what happened. Principal Guillory, we didn't take her out the call. She tried to get back in the call, and our call, and then that just sent everything haywire. But Roland,
what you're saying is you got some Worthing graduates over there running your system.
Yes, me.
That's always been a problem. That's always been a problem.
I got some University of Memphis graduates. That's what I got. But Roland, you know what you were talking about? And I love the way you said it. What's happening at A&M is indicative of America, and that's when you start buzzing. I want you to get that across. Across.
Simple. College towns and predominantly white universities are microcosms of America. So what happens? Texas A&M ain't different from Baylor, not different from TU, not different from Texas Tech. And the people have this whole idea that, oh man, I'm not going to them racist Texas schools. I'm gonna go to Ohio State. Like they haven't had issues. Like Michigan and Auburn hasn't had issues. Look, where you have largely white spaces, you are going to find racism. You're going to find bigotry and discrimination. You're going to find marginalization of African Americans. And so you're seeing that. And so I think people need to get this out of their mind. The same white folk you dealing with in America go to those schools. So why do we somehow believe? But the thing is this here, our responsibility as black graduates of these places is to let them know we're going to hold you accountable. And so when the president of Texas A&M wrote this weak ass letter as the aftermath of George Floyd, I sent him an email. I wanted to know that I found the letter to be weak. Next day, he had a whole new statement, different tone. And so, but the piece though, we're just not just as graduates, we're not just holding these white institutions accountable. We're holding black institutions accountable. All three of us have weighed in on stuff that's been happening at Yates. Why? Because we care about where we went. And so don't think for a second that we also are not willing to challenge the institutions that are also black, because we care about them and we want them to be the best they can be. And so that's how we roll.
Santana, the movement that you're seeing and the energy from a lot of the younger people after in the last month, what are your thoughts on that? You know, on what's going on, because this is a different type of energy that's being galvanized right now.
You know what? I think they are to be commended. You know, they are the same ones in 2012. Correct me if I have my math wrong, but Trayvon Martin was 2012, and they were kids at that time.
Yep.
And they saw that whole play, that because somebody had a hood on and he was subjected to the kind of treatment and the atrocities and the killing, and the person got off for it. And the person is having autograph session and signing Skittle bags to this date because of what happened in 2012. Those kids are adults now. And the list of names go on. And they have finally said, you know what? Enough is enough. We're gonna drive this train, or we're gonna drive this car, and we're not sitting down until something happens. And it's been the perfect storm, because you've got a pandemic with 40 million people out of work. You've got everything on the evening news, so it's sitting in front of every household that has to see this, and it is the perfect storm. And you've got these kids, or the younger generation, that are saying, you know what, we're not moving from this spot until we do something about it. And which they're to be commended about that, definitely. Go ahead.
And let me add this here. And so this is the piece, what Santana just said is important, but you also got to understand from the white perspective. If you were 12 years old when President Obama announced that he was running for president, today you're 25. See, 13 years ago. So what you also have is you got a generation of white kids who their first president was a black president. So their first president was a black president, followed by this crazy ass fool here, and they're sitting here like, oh, no. So what I've been saying to black folks is, I'm not hating on white folks who are protesting. Now, the folks out there who, like the black people who are snatching these looters and saying, no, y'all ain't tearing up stuff and we get blamed, I totally get that. What I'm talking about You have white allies, even in corporations. Do you see what's happening? Comcast announced $100 million. Warner Music, $100 million. Adidas announced 20 million. Black employees and their white allies join, start whipping they behind. They announced another $100 million, and 30 or 50% of all future jobs will be Black and Latinx. We're seeing folks losing their jobs in media. We're seeing folks in the finance. We're seeing what's happening in tech. What's happening is there's a rebellion, not just in the streets to get police reform, but rebellions are happening in all of these other industries. Bro, look at sports. Strength coach. I mean, Santana will tell you, you ain't never seen all of a sudden strength coach in Iowa fired. The head coach, he has to apologize. So what happened at Oklahoma State, what's happening at the University of Texas. Kellen Mond at Texas A&M is leading the charge saying, get rid of that statute. Black athletes, look who grew up, mind you, were high school seniors or juniors when Colin Kaepernick took a knee, are now realizing their power. And they are now speaking their truth and telling athletic departments, it's going to be a racial reckoning, even athletic departments. Man, this is an amazing moment that in my 51 years, I've never seen, and this generation has never seen to this degree.
Unbelievable.
And so now, Santana, okay, speaking of this generation, you're a former football player, played in the league. When you got along your journey, when you got to the NFL, did you experience any racism while you were an NFL player and had made it to the top, to the pinnacle of the sport?
All of the time, and I think, everybody on this call right now has had some type of experience. Mine might go all the way back to 9 years old. I remember the first time I asked my mom, I told her I wanted a cap gun, a little cap gun. And she said, absolutely not, because that would give the police a reason to shoot at you or do you some bodily harm. Tamir Rice, 2014. But to your question, all of the time, if I was traveling in my late model cars, I would be pulled over, the racial profiling, a Black man driving on I-10, the expressway, things like that. Well, yeah, I just was wondering what you were doing back in this neighborhood when I came back home to Houston. We wanted to make sure it's okay because now I know who you are, Mr. Dotson. But I was just, you made us nervous driving that late model car back in the quote unquote hood. Interstate traveling back and forth from Houston to my first stop was in Tampa Bay. I was pulled over several times on that interstate on I-10. The same reason, driving a late model car. And you're just patient. You do all the things that, because you don't know that situation. You don't know that police officer. So like all of our parents taught us, you make sure you're very formal. Your hands are at 10 and 2, no quick or sudden movements and things like that. So yeah, that's definitely, I think, part of part of what we were learned and taught as we were growing up, and I think that's why everything was, because George Floyd being from Yates, being from that community, being 6'7", you could see he grew up the same way. Everything that police officer asked and told him to do, he was doing. And for him to end up in that 9 minutes of terror is really heartbreaking.
Let me add this here, and I think this is what people need to understand, because, when you have asshats like Jason Whitlock, who was criticizing LeBron James, saying, oh, you rich, no, but racism really affects the poor. No, that's nonsense, dude. Let me tell you something. It's not, and see, what ignorant fools like that don't realize, when the racial profiling issue blew up, do you know actually how that blew up? Middle class to upper class Black people, just what Santana just described, who were being stopped on the New Jersey Turnpike, who would drive in nice cars. That's actually because that's how it blew up. I remember when I was in Austin, Texas, I graduated from college, moved there. The woman I was dating was a television anchor. I'm helping her move into a new condo. We're moving in. It's at night because I'm working the day, she working the day. Police car comes up, so do the circle and everything like that, and then they stop us, and so we're like, no. They like, well, we got calls. We like, but we moving stuff in, and then us. So we talk to them, and then we're leaving. Then a second car comes. Then she's like, oh hell no. See, we roll back, and so she goes. So the same thing. They're thinking, well, it was like, oh my goodness, yeah, TV anchor, newspaper reporter. No. Don't just look at me now differently because I work for the newspaper. What if I was a brother who didn't work in the newspaper? And that's the problem. So the problem is, and same thing in Austin, there was a woman who was a judge. Bruh, she got judicial license plates. And somebody white had called the cops, and the cops roll up asking why was she in the neighborhood because she was looking at houses. She got judge on the plates. And that's what people need to understand with what happens in this country, what happens with police, these assumptions being made. And see, the problem we have in this country is that we have this debate. We go, racist, not racist. Well, that's why I rarely call somebody a racist. Because then the whole conversation is, I'm not a racist. Yes, you are. I'm not a racist. Yes, you are. What I do is I focus on what you do. I focus on what you said. I focus on what was the unspoken thing, because your actions actually dictates in terms of how you roll. And see, that's the thing, man. So you talk about sports. See, don't tell me if you a black coach, look at the NBA and Major League Baseball, the likelihood of you becoming a head coach in the NBA, you had to play before. Yet you got white guys who ain't never played who are head coaches. So you got to ask yourself, wait a minute, hold up, what's the opportunity? And I think somebody actually did a story where Leonard Hamilton was the only non-player in recent history to become a head coach. But you got white boys who ain't never played. Lawrence Frank, Eric Spoelstra. I mean, we can go on and on. So all of a sudden, y'all are head coaches. It speaks to the system that exists in this country and how systemic racism, how it impacts us.
And Santana, now, in you're doing a lot of things with your foundation in Houston, the Houston area. What is there anything that you, after what's happening right now, that you plan to intensify or incorporate into your movement with the Santana Dotson Foundation to help with these youngsters?
Good question.
Yeah, the last 3 years with Chief Acevedo, we've been doing a lot of community events that have been based and supported with the HPD. And I think we need to intensify that because good police officers exist. Good police officers are needed. When you see these egregious acts, our kids in the next generation need to know that there are some good cops in those neighborhoods. And that's the good thing about the program. So we've done events in Hiram Clark, we've done events in 3rd Ward, and we're bringing those officers that patrol and work in those communities. So allowing them to work, see the kids and the kids to see them. We've got to bridge that gap to where we can all coexist together and not sit on different sides of the aisle. And
one of the questions in the Boom Boom Room, and Herb says, Herb Baker says, shout out to my guy, Santana Dotson. And also Alfio asked, he says, Roland, why aren't you not on mainstream media? We need.
No. So let me help people out and understand. First of all, I totally understand. I appreciate folk who state that. But I own my show. I own it.
My man.
I determine the guest. I determine the topics. Bro, I was up at 8:30 this morning preparing for a phone call with the advertiser. I'm interfacing directly with the advertiser. And to understand mainstream media, they want you to work for them.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be happy to join one of the networks, but do understand I'm not giving my stuff up. See, what people don't realize when I was when I was at CNN, and I had a great 6 years there. There were a lot of issues. Everybody had a great 6 years. I was asked to interview Winnie Mandela, and they couldn't find anybody else, so they asked me. So I go down to Birmingham, Alabama. She was speaking in the church there. I interviewed Winnie Mandela, and so when we come back, they go, "Well, we saw the interview. Why didn't you ask her this, this, this?" I said, well, "Why in the hell y'all didn't interview her?" I said, "I asked her what I wanted to ask her." And so they said, "Well, we're not going to run the interview." So, okay. I went to the president of the network, John Klein. I said, "Yo, they ain't going to run an interview. Give me the interview. I want the tape to run on my TV One show." And he said, "Cool." And we did. 2 years ago, when Winnie Mandela died, I restreamed that interview. Had I not had a black platform or my own platform, that interview would be sitting on a videotape on a shelf and would have never been seen ever again unless somebody just stumbled upon it years from now. So having your own outlet allows me to control the narrative, allows me to set the narrative, allows me to speak in my own way. And I think what we have to do is, and again, we need black folks in mainstream. We need black people running our own stuff. We need black folks working for digital sites and newspapers and magazines and all that sort of stuff. And I've worked a lot of those places. But I also understand that by being able to have it and control it, I don't have to ask permission. I ask myself.
And that's a big deal. I'm gonna piggyback on what Roland is saying. We've got to understand being able to control the narrative and our own content. And if you have questions about that, I want any listener to take time this evening and watch 30 minutes of Fox News and see the difference in, they might be telling the same story, but see the difference in how Fox News presents a story and CNN or one of the other media outlets. And it's very important for us as people of color, as black men, to be able to control our own content and our own narrative. Because when you're chasing that check, you know, Roland ain't got to chase that check no more. He got plenty of stuff in his pockets. But when you're chasing that check, now
I take more.
He'll take more.
Take all that you desire, my brother. So, but when you're young, and we all been young before, and you've got to take care of yourself and your family, you start understanding like, hey, I want to run this story on Miss Mandela, but now the producers and the editors are telling me the content needs to be XYZ, and that's not what I want to present for myself and to my people that are following into that story. And that becomes a real big deal when you're dealing with media and communications.
And look. Okay, so you mentioned Santana's foundation. So let's say Santana has his education initiative. I'm gonna tell you right now, he gonna have a hell of a time trying to get it through. Forget national network, but to get it through local, they gonna have to. Well, who can I talk to? Who can I pitch it? Dude, do you know who I talk to? Me.
Yeah.
I really want people to listen to understand. I talk to me. I don't have to run it by somebody. If Santana said, man, like the big weekend and stuff, if he says, man, we gonna restart that. If I go, all right, I'm gonna broadcast my show from Houston on Friday from your deal. Yeah. I ain't got to ask nobody. I do it. That's what people don't. That's what folk need to understand. The reason we are here where we are is because John H. Johnson owned Ebony, because Robert Abbott owned the Chicago Defender, yes, because A.I. Scott owned the Atlanta Daily World, Claude Barnett owned the Associated Negro Press. And so that's what we have to understand. In order, the first black newspaper, March of 1827, Freedom's Journal, this is what they wrote. Quote, this is March 1827. We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
Right. That's powerful right there. That's the Freedom Journal, 1827. And as you guys see, that's another thing. Speaking of that, we can feel you, Roland, because the Chop Shop being on the terrestrial radio dial, AM. Then we went on 102.1 and then 102.5, and then we had the opportunity to go back to the FM station, the first one, and we made the decision to intensify our efforts with the digital platform because it became so popular. And
Right.
and so a lot of people don't realize when saying we feel you totally, and the Chop Shop has a who's who of guests in the past, I mean a whole list of guests, especially in the sporting community, and there's nothing like this. And so I definitely applaud you for fighting the good fight and keeping it on, because you have to realize, I mean, think about it. You're Yates High School, and your ear is always to the street of what's going on in Yates High School. And as we get ready to land this plane on this segment, I want to ask, how hard is it to when with athletes, right? Getting stories. I notice a lot of black athletes, or a lot of news that in society is broken by certain people. Mm-hmm. And the higher up the chain. Let's say if we're talking sports, Santana, and if it's basketball, Woj is going to break the news that comes from the GM's office. Now you might have Stephen A. or some of the other guys are going to break the story from a coach or assistant coach, but he's breaking the news from up there, and nobody has a complaint. What if Woj was a black guy in the media breaking that news?
There are black guys like that. There are black guys like that. I'll tell you, Mark Spears. I know Mark very well. Yeah. Mark is with ESPN.
We've had Mark on the Chop Shop.
Yeah. So Mark, Mark has broken a lot of those kind of stories as well. It's just a matter of what you want to focus on. Adam Schefter with something he does with football. Just a matter of really what you want to emphasize. But also, you have to understand that also boils down to trust. And Tanner can speak to this. When you're in a locker room, look, man, you got cats with agendas. Because what you got to realize is sports media is real white. If y'all don't believe me, when y'all watch the NFL Network or an ESPN Classic, and when you're seeing them all of these historic stories or sporting events, look at who's retelling the story. I can put money on it. From 1995 to present day, any historic moments from that period, you will see a lot more black journalists and black media voices. 95 and before, you're going to see a whole lot of white faces. Dude, there's a new digital website coming called Sportico. I literally just got the announcement. I immediately sent a text, said, I want to know how many black executives they have. Now, my man Mike Freeman, they hired him as a writer. I want to know how many black executives. So that's the reality of what we're also dealing with there as well. Black athletes are typically more trusting of black journalists because the black journalist understands them a lot more than those white journalists. But back in the day, man, racism was real, and it was real because you had black athletes who weren't sure about the black journalists. They felt the white boys had more credibility. So you, the black journalists, you were fighting even more uphill because some of your own wouldn't talk to you. So the racial dynamics on the media side in sports is real. Santana, I guarantee you Santana knows that.
Yeah, without a doubt. You've done interviews in the locker room, and once that story came out and you talked to this Caucasian or this white reporter, and once that story comes out in the paper the next day, the whole version of the truth, the whole content has been distorted, So those conversations happen in the locker room, and you say, you know what, I'm not talking to that guy ever again. And what happens? Who's got the pen? They get the last word. So now this athlete, has an attitude issue. He doesn't want to talk to the media. He doesn't want, he's not friendly. All those type of things come out. And I guarantee you, if you rewind the tape somewhere in there, that reporter or that journalist rubbed him the wrong way. So he said, you know what, it'd be better for me just to not even have that conversation with you or you guys anymore.
Hey, Jim Rice. Jim Rice, one of the greatest baseball players now in the
Yes.
Hall of Fame. What was one of the biggest holdups? Guess who votes on the Hall of Fame? Writers.
media.
Guess who trashed him? He was moody. He was
Yeah.
mean to us. That ain't got a damn thing to do with how Jim Rice played the game. Look, I don't care how you feel about Terrell Owens was a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes, sir.
But we're gonna hold it against him. That's what happens, bro. I'm telling you, I've seen that nonsense. And so my whole deal is, okay, there might be some arrogant politicians who I don't like, but if you doing your job, you're doing your job. It's real, man, nasty in sports where you got white reporters who are sitting here, true story, Allen Iverson. The whole media narrative, he's a thug. He's a thug. I was at the Dallas Mavericks event, a media event, white sports writer who's still an NBA writer. He starts going on about Allen Iverson being a thug. I said, whoa, how the hell you gonna call him a thug? Well, look at his hair and tattoos. I said, hold up. Cherokee Park's got a damn mohawk or a mullet. I said, are you dogging him? I said, no, let me tell you what happens. So what happens is the white sports talk show people in Philadelphia and the white sports writers start writing these things and saying these things. Then the white sports writers and the sports talk show hosts in other cities pick it up. So all of a sudden, the narrative is set where a thug, look how he is, look what he wears, he's mean to us. And so it travels. So all of a sudden, one person, and then begins to build. So now that becomes a narrative. So guess who starts calling him a thug? The fans, largely fans. And so now all of a sudden, that thing seeps into, so you understand how the story goes from one person, their colleagues, goes out, and then now it's down, the whole deal is Allen Iverson's a thug. That's how that narrative gets set. And a lot of black athletes, man, have rebelled against that. And then they get mad. He not talking to us? I'm a dog you in every chance I get in my column. I'm a dog
really gonna get you.
on the radio. Bro, I'm telling you, people don't understand how the narrative is set. And it's hard to undo that narrative, man.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, that's what I'm wondering. So Santana, does it benefit the black athlete to have a positive relationship with the black media?
Oh yeah, definitely, without a doubt. You know, a lot of times as a black athlete, you're looking for that black journalist or that black writer to sit down and talk to them. You know, especially when you're coming from where we all came from, you kind of gravitate to that in the locker room to make sure, because you feel like they're going to tell your story the way it's supposed to be told.
And the thing is this here, when you said a positive relationship, the black journalist is not there to be your PR person.
Gotcha.
There's going to be times when the black journalist is going to put you in check, is going to criticize you. But I believe what the black athlete, which is no different than the black politician, what the black athlete wants to know is, are you going to be fair? Are you going to treat me respectful? And if you rip me for my play and I played bad, all right, I'll take it. But are you going to praise me when I play good? And so look, my motto is real simple. This has always been my motto. If you do good, I'm going to talk about you. If you do bad, I'm going to talk about you. At the end of the day, I will talk about you. That's it. That's been my standard from day one.
But then sometimes can't you, if they do bad, and if you're the ally, or if you're just favoring, the scales tilt in one way or the other. But if that person does bad, let's say, isn't it possible to do like sometimes they do? You ignore it if they do bad. No, you don't do that?
You can't do it because remember, if you work in the mainstream environment, you still got bosses. You still have to have your personal integrity. All right, so let me flip it to sports. All right, let's have Santana answer this. You're a team leader on defense. All right, a lineman, a safety, or a linebacker screws up. Santana chews their ass out. Lineman messes up. He don't say nothing. Santana, what the rest of the players gonna say about you?
Oh yeah, they're gonna have a problem with it because if you got to keep everybody in check, starting with yourself. There's been times that we went to a year we went to the Super Bowl. We were #1 in defense, and let me tell you what that means. That means accountability for oneself. So there were times in practice. You got 10 periods in practice.
with 10 plays, offense gets 10, defense gets 10. If there was a run of more than 3 yards, let's say it was in my gap of more than 3 yards, coach, I need to see that play again. So, and if there was a pass of more than 4 yards, somebody like Leroy Butler would say, coach, I need to see that play again. Not only for self-accountability, so you letting the guy next to you know, look, when we get out there on Sunday, Santana got he got it covered. He covered all his bases. Leroy, he's got it all covered. So it takes that accountability on a daily basis, and that runs throughout the whole team. You know, so yeah, you got to be able to self-check, and you understand. You know, guys are very mature, and we're talking about football locker rooms. Basketball might be a little different. Baseball might be a little different.
They're the same.
They're the same, right? But football, look, ain't nobody. I don't need Roland as a reporter to tell me after the game that I suck today. You know what? Because no matter what, as long as I have more good games than bad games, I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna be out there and be okay. Every so often, Santana got to tackle a Barry Sanders, and he doesn't look so good doing it. But you know what? That's part of the game.
Right. But as a journalist, you're serving really your audience, and so your audience wants to know that you're gonna be fair, you're gonna be right, and so that's what it is. But but when somebody wants to take it to a whole other level, and that extra dose of criticism that ventures into unfair, and then if it's repeated, so what then happens is you're using the power of your medium to constantly.
Roland, you on that cricket?
Good internet, guy. See?
Look.
God
don't like ugly.
And T-Mobile got him. Anyway, that was a great combo right in the middle.
Great one, man.
Oh, hey, as they say, only Roland Martin can stop Roland Martin from chopping it up.
He's amazing.
I think I'm back.
Yeah, you good. You good, big fella. Yeah. But you know what's so amazing about Roland? And I'm sitting there thinking about it. Roland said he owns it. Jimmy and I, Santana, we have opportunities with this show, and it just feels so good when decisions had to be made. We ain't got to go to nobody.
Yeah.
It's just us.
Hey.
We ain't got to ask nobody nothing.
You're exactly right. And you know what? I was explaining that to my daughter. Sorry to cut you off, but my daughter is a marketing communications major at Oklahoma, at University of Oklahoma. And I was telling her, now you got the internet and you can control your own source. And I said, that was so important. I said, I retired in 2004, 2005. So the internet was nowhere where it is now.
Right.
I said, the only way, and I was a communications major at Baylor. I said, so I did radio, I did TV in Green Bay, moved back here to Houston. I said, but my voice was constrained because unless I wanted to go to ESPN and be a guest analyst or a guest host after the game or do something in Houston, and Houston was hard to break through. At the time, you had all Caucasian sport anchors on TV, so it was hard to break in. But now, if you got good content and you really are passionate about what you do, you can set up shop in your house just like we all doing during this pandemic, and you can have your voice and everybody hear your voice. I said that is an amazing thing.
Yeah, that's it, and that's exactly what I did. I mean, bottom line is when TV One canceled News One Now. I was plotting the digital platform strategy before that, and I just simply transitioned right into it. And people would, let me tell you, man, I had more people tell me I was crazy. Man, why you doing that? Man, you should try to go to MSNBC. And the trip is I launched September 4th, 2018. A few months after that, ABC News announced they were expanding their digital platform. CBS announced they were expanding CBSN, their digital platform. NBC announced they were launching a digital streaming service. All of a sudden, all these news folks all of a sudden start going to digital video. And then I was kind of like, but y'all thought I was the crazy one. Seems like I was seeing something y'all weren't seeing. And that's the piece, man. And so you're able to, and then of course with YouTube, you're able to become a YouTube partner, enroll into the advertising program. So if you don't have the resources to pay your own sales team, you're involved in that. And then all of a sudden, that's generating revenue. And then, of course, with subscriptions, your fan base, you can actually, look, man, in this COVID-19 hit, look, we were greatly impacted. Advertising just stopped. And look, my fan base came through to the tune of, we probably, from my fan base, since April 4th, we've generated about 150,000 from my fan base.
I saw that.
That's what happens when these opportunities created. The internet has basically decimated the gatekeepers. It used to be, okay, ESPN will give you a show. CNN will give you a show. So you were constantly trying to change your look and change how you talk and change your presentation because you largely were having to get permission from a white executive to make them happy. Now you can do you, man, and get paid very well.
Yeah.
Man, speaking of doing you, lastly, want to ask you your thoughts about the School of Communications in the newly built Yates High School structure. A lot of people may not understand what's beyond those walls, and you've seen it firsthand. Filmed your show from there in the old school, but about the new building. What they have now. Describe that to a lot of the viewers to understand what these students have.
Houston has one of the most extensive magnet school programs in the country, with all the different disciplines, whether it's law enforcement, criminal justice, health professions, hospitality, engineering, petrochemical, all different programs. For me, it came down to School of Communications and law enforcement, criminal justice, and so that's why I was zoned for high school, but I went to Yates for the School of Communications, when Santana made that point early in terms of what Yates positioned us for in the future, I would say that it's so funny. So when you were asking about him and Mo playing sports, the year Yates won the state championship in '85, I love how people always like, you ain't play ball? I'm like, I ain't never had any interest to play ball. But guess what? Somebody had to videotape the games.
That's right. That's right.
Now, let me tell you what happened, straight up. Probably about first 3 or 4 games in, the coaches found out that we actually were videotaping every game. Now, they always had film.
Right.
Okay. They said, I remember the coaches came out and they said, y'all are videotaping every game? We were like, yeah, we had every game videotaping. Can we get a VHS copy? It was like, yeah. Now, remember, coaches traded films. Mm-hmm. So who were they playing next? They would meet in the parking lot somewhere. They would trade films. Well, the Yates coaches had access to videotape. So we were shooting the game. So when Yates won the state championship, I was in the press box shooting the game. And so I tell people, when you talk about, now again, it's not like, let me be real clear. This isn't like, oh, we need a ring. Although on NFL teams, Santana will tell you, everybody
got a ring.
Get a ring because you contributed to the championship.
Yeah.
But the there is, everybody can't play. Everybody doesn't want to play, but everybody can contribute. And so for me, that was learning my craft in the School of Communications. Now the new building, I mean, the studio, the radio piece. I mean, they are preparing students today to do this in the future. Everything I do right now can trace back to those 4 years at Yates. Everything. That established the foundation for what I've done in my career in the last 37 years.
Amazing.
And to add on to what Roland's saying, I work out my kids. I got a little soccer player that she's 13 years old, and I tell you, my daughter, she's 20, going back to Oklahoma. She's playing a volleyball player. Okay. So I work them out, and I push them to the limits, and I push them a little bit further than every day than I pushed them the day before. And I was just telling them this story, my Yates story about being pushed, goes a guy by the name of Luther Booker. Mm-hmm. So the 4 years I was at Yates, after practice, our conditioning would be running 2 miles after practice. So we'd have to run 2 miles after practice, full contact. And Luther Booker would be at the last turn
of that track every time. He'd be at that third turn coming around that straightaway. And he'd be right there, and you could hear, I can still hear him talking in my ear. I know you can do it, but can you do it when you're tired? The next time around, he said, I know you can do it, but can you do it when you're hurting? I know you can do it, but can you do it when you're sick? So in every aspect of life, when times get tough, I can still hear Luther Booker in my ear saying, I know you can do it. You're a little tired right now, but I know you can do it.
That's good.
And he's still pushing me.
Yep.
Hey, man, and speaking of pushing, man, we definitely appreciate everything that you guys do in the community. Roland, boy, I mean, great job that you have done representing 3rd Ward, Jack Yates. You are indeed a freedom fighter of our time. And the history of Jack Yates cannot be told without mentioning Roland Martin or Santana Dotson.
Right.
I mean, I'm dead serious on that.
Right.
And so, hey, much respect to you guys. And last question for you, Santana. You mentioned about things you're going to incorporate in that foundation. I got one tip for you, brother, that you got to reincorporate as you push forward into 2021 after this COVID, this pandemic is over. Know what that is?
Don't say it.
What's that?
You got to bring back that crawfish festival.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
You got to bring that back. You got to.
Hey, Santana, it was the talk of the town now. You got to.
Yeah.
You got to.
Yeah. You know what? After we through with all this pandemic, hey, the AC, the after COVID, we might have to have a big crawfish ball for the good times. For the good times.
Hey, Roland, what you say, Roland?
Santana, we can do one together because my brother's an executive chef.
That's right.
And he's running our, he owns now the family catering business. So that ain't nothing but a thing right there.
Roland.
You know what? We can put it together and put it together for the right reasons. You know, like I said, bring some Black-owned businesses out there and congregate just so everybody can see each other and rub them elbows.
Roland, I got to tell you this quick story before we go. Your brother was teaching at Westside High School. My son went to Westside High. I didn't know they had a culinary.
He led them to a state and a national championship in culinary.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Come on now.
Yep.
Hey, man.
That's good.
Thanks so much, guys, man. We appreciate it, man. We got to move on through the back nine of the Chop Shop. We appreciate it. Both of you, man, guys, we welcome the invite. The door is open to come on back to the Chop Shop one day, and we can chop it up and to go and take a real. And hey, remember those old cassette tapes, Santana, back in the days? Used to get over there.
Oh, Daryl Scott.
From Daryl Scott. Remember, he had one of those cassettes called Blast to the Past. I used to come from the north side off Homestead in my Cutlass Supreme and get one of them old mixtapes. We had Walter D at Cashmere, but we respect Daryl Scott. We down with you, but
you know, choice but to respect.
Hey, man.
Get out of here, fellas.
Guys, man.
Thank you. All right, fellas. Y'all take care, man.
Okay, man. Thank you, Roland. Wow,
Roland
that was
Santana
good,
Dotson, and audio and video difficulties with Mo Hobson.
We got to bring Mo back one day.
Yeah, we can bring Mo back probably on Monday, and that'll be a good day because we got some special guests that's supposed to join on tap for Monday, guys. So don't panic. And on that, so I mean, great convo as you guys see. A blast to the Baby Friday. If you guys can take out the time right now, a lot of you guys on the YouTube feed, thanks so much. We're experiencing audio difficulties earlier. They switched over to the YouTube. That's one of the benefits that we explain you guys while we stream simultaneously on 2 platforms. We are at the same time. So that means if one is not serving you right, then you jump over to the other one and keep and don't miss a beat. And rather than back in the old days, if we're streaming on one, then if the show is abbreviating or fragmenting or distorting, then we gotta kill the feed. This thing now we keep going. So that's as we're gonna do with the show. Speaking of keeping it going, waiting on our next guest to queue on up and come and join us. Meanwhile, thanks so much, guys, for all of the energy that's going through. I see Tyrone Irvin is joining us in the house and on the Facebook feed. Lori Dotson is up in that joint. I see you, Lori. And as we go and turn the corner, we're gonna we're gonna bring a very special guest that's nationally known in the sport of basketball.
Bad
You
man.
understand? And they're especially the high school teams. This is the gentleman who yields the magic wand, which determines which high school team gets a sponsorship or package from Nike. The high school, not the grassroots. And he is known affectionately around the world. I call him Uncle Tony. You know what I'm saying? And that's, and because he kind of looks like one of those bosses. He is a boss. Uncle Tony to me. And without further ado, guys, I introduce to you guys Tony Dorado with Nike Basketball.
How you guys doing?
What's up, big fella?
Man, Uncle Tony, what's going on, baby?
Tony D.
Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all.
Wow.
How's
man.
it going?
Man,
It's unbelievable. We right before we sorry for being a little bit behind. We had Roland Martin and Santana Dotson on there, and these guys had so much history talking about the Yates program and talk about these two successful men that navigate their way out of Yates and to great careers. So that's what happened. But now it's the Tony D show. Jimmy, what way we're gonna take Tony D to?
go right and as I abbreviated as to what you do, if you can explain to the audience what your role, your function is with Nike and how long you've been doing it.
Yeah, so I've been with Nike now. This is my 25th year at Nike, and so there's I have a lot of history. I have a lot of history with Coach Wise and the Yates program. I told Coach that maybe that 09-010 season was maybe one of the most spectacular seasons ever. One of the greatest high school teams I've ever seen. Certainly one of the most exciting teams I've ever seen. So my job, like you said, Jimmy, my job is I've got the greatest job in the world, man. I get to go out and just watch high school basketball around the country, and I've seen everybody. I've seen everybody from LeBron to Kobe to Kyrie to KD when they were youngsters and coming up through. So I've had a great opportunity to be at Nike and to be at a great company for a long time and be involved in basketball, which is the sport I love.
And so tell the audience what determines what determines or what goes into the factors into the equation of you granting us identifying a program for sponsorship.
Well, I think you said the key word there, Jimmy. Program. It's not just a school that may have a class of good players or a run of kids. It's we build relationships at Nike, and the relationship can't happen just when you have a team that's good for 1 year and then that's it. So we want to have relationships with programs. What are teams that are going to be good year in, year out, whether if they're playing for a state championship, whether they're in the top 25 in the country, whether they're playing for a New York City championship or an LA City championship or a Texas state championship. We want those teams who have been good and will be good for a long period of times. And usually that starts with the coach, right? If the coach has been there, if the coach lays the foundation and he's been there, and you can't have a better example of a good coach and a better person than Coach Wise down there at Yates.
Yes.
And now, what's the longest tenured program that you have granted a sponsorship package to? Which school around the country?
I think there were a couple of schools that first started that are still with us that started all the way back even before my time. George Raveling was the first one to do the high schools, and so Christ the King out of New York, Modern Day out of Los Angeles, Oak Hill Academy out of Virginia are three of the schools that have been with us since the very beginning.
Wow.
And And now what encompasses of getting a sponsor? Like when you get one as a school, 'cause I know a lot of high school coaches are watching the show right now, so that's why I'm asking these questions.
Yeah.
To help enlighten the parents as well. What all do they get, or what all does it range from when it comes with a sponsorship? Because some things you have to pay, they can purchase. Some things they may get complimentary from the company. And tell us about that.
I think it all depends upon it depends upon the value of the relationship between us and the school. So it's very similar to like a college sponsorship. That Kentucky and Duke is getting a certain product sponsorship versus maybe a low-level D1 or a D2 school, right? So it's the same thing with us. Is the support will come based upon value. But again, I think the biggest thing is I can say unequivocally that Nike has done more in high school basketball than anybody else has done, and I can say that it's the product that the kids want and the kids get excited about, and I'm not saying that egotistically. I'm saying that from a standpoint of, hey, just look at basketball shoe sales around the world. 90% of all basketball shoes sold around the world are either Nikes or Jordans.
Yes.
90%.
I totally agree. I love it when I see a box that had Memphis on the side.
Yeah.
Hey, the greatest boxes. It's like Santa Claus. The greatest boxes I ever get.
So now, speaking of,
Tony, you mentioned the kids. The grown-ups, we like Nikes too.
Absolutely. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. No question, Robert. No question.
Indeed. Now, of course, if you just tuned to the Chop Shop, we have Tony Dorado. He's with Nike, runs all of the high school basketball division, and is the boss of that arm of the sports conglomerate. Now, I want to ask you. You mentioned Greg Wise and the Yates program back when you met them, and there's you can tell a story back in 2009, 2010, that season when you met Greg Wise and Yates. You actually was in Texas to see another program that you guys had sponsored. Tell us, and that's how it goes in recruiting sometimes. You come to see one,
you're
and
exactly right.
Another one. Tell us how that story went.
You're exactly right, Greg. Jimmy, that sometimes that's what happens in recruiting. You go to see somebody, and then somebody else catches your eye, and it's not that high school basketball is entertainment. It's fun, right? High school basketball should be fun. And Coach Wise, with your guys' style, with the way they play, it's a fun brand of basketball. You can't tell me that you don't want to sit in your seat and watch that pressing and trapping and shooting. I mean, that's just the way. So I get chills right now thinking about it and thinking about Yates' style of play. And so when I went to go see them, and not see them, but they caught my eye. It couldn't help but catch my eye. And then talking to Coach Wise and understanding what a first class guy he is, and understanding what kind of program he put together, the opportunity to offer sponsorship and start a relationship was an easy one.
Now, who was the other team? Who was the other team?
You ain't getting that out of me. No, you ain't getting that out of me.
Hey, okay, I got it. You don't got to tell me. I got it.
Let's just stay with the good news.
And also, now we're talking about Yates High School, and from my understanding, you have some special news designated toward the basketball program. The 2019 to 20 team made it to the state championship, the state tournament, second year in a row, and however, the season was abbreviated as a result of the pandemic.
Yes.
And Yates was a favorite to win this year, even though they were scheduled to play the team and had defeated them a year ago. This was a highly anticipated showdown. And however, the kids did receive medals. collective programs, and and a ceremony, a virtual ceremony, which with the superintendent of the district recently acknowledged these kids. What would you like to say to them from the Nike standpoint, from your perch, into this program for their efforts this past
Well,
season?
I just want to tell them, thank you, because again, Yates High School, all the players, doesn't make any difference if it was the 2009-2000 team or what was the 10 years later, the 2019-2020. Yates always represents Nike with class. Yates always, the players always are first class on how they conduct themselves. So I want to personally tell the players, thank you so much for how you represent us. And then tell them again, congratulations, like on their season. Like you're saying that not only were they into the semifinals, not only were they favorites, not only were they number one in the state, but for setting that record. Setting the record, 21 games in a row, over 100 points. Come on. How many there's 20,000 high schools that play high school ball, Jimmy. How many of you think have ever even scored 100 points ever in the history of their school? And these guys did it 21 straight games.
Right.
I'm not very good at math, but I took their last game, the last game that they played in that regional final, they scored 117 points. That's 3.5 points a minute. That's almost 1 point per second. Okay, come on. Like, really? Like, who puts up 117 points in a 32-minute game with no shot clock?
That's a good point.
I mean, that's
Hold up.
that's balling right there. That's straight up balling.
I got the.
But go ahead, Robert.
No, you good.
I was just going to say the other thing I think more importantly or just as important too is congratulations is just to also let the players know that in this day and age, in this time period, that Nike's got their back in this world of racism and social injustice. I don't know if the players know this, but we just collectively between Nike and Michael Jordan and the Jordan brand, we just have announced that we're going to commit $140 million to the Black community to help fight racism.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys know, you've been around Nike, and Nike just doesn't write a check and go away. Right. We're going to follow, that we're going to follow up with action behind those dollars. So I just want the players to know that again, we're not just about the shoes, we're not just about the business. That Nike historically is always taken a stand against racism and social injustice. And so I'm very proud of our company, and I'm very, very proud to tell the players that hey, we're gonna help them as they grow and become the leaders of their communities, as they become contributing adults, that hopefully Nike's money and Nike's support will be there in their fight. And then I think finally, in the recognition of their season, I want to let them know that we just sent off an email to Coach Wise this morning with the instructions on how to design a set of shoes on Nike ID. So the players are gonna. I want to let the players know that you're gonna get a set of free Nike ID shoes. How you guys design them is up to you. I want you guys to design them. I want to see the design because I know it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be great. I just want to see my only requirement to the players is just make sure they're in their Yates colors. I want to see that design in the Yates colors. But I just wanted to tell them here on your show that we're going to give them a set of shoes in recognition of their accomplishments this year.
Man, that is totally awesome.
Wow.
And it's going to make the day of a lot of those young people. Tony, we definitely appreciate your efforts and all you do around the country for a lot of our basketball student athletes, that is. And guess what, guys? This man right here,
that's bad, man.
I mean, he's done a lot and helped me a great deal along the way. And that's why I acknowledge him with Uncle Tony. to me.
And
And I,
Tony, it was so unique, Tony. Somebody called me from your office, right? You done moved office. I know you're not in office. Somebody called me from your office one day,
Yep.
and I pick up the phone and said, Tony D, but it was Wayne Pigney. He was in your. He was calling from me. I guess you'd have moved to another wing or something. I said, man, it's Tony D number. He said, no, it's mine now. So I just wanted to tell you, I remember him calling me from your office, but I guess you'd have moved. You probably have moved up.
I don't know about that, but I tell you, I'm just I'm happy to be on with you guys. Great to see you guys. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks so much for having me on. Thanks for giving me a minute to publicly say congratulations to the Yates team and on their season. We all know they're favorites for champions. We all know that in their eyes, and they're state champs, and certainly in my eyes, they are too. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's Tony Dorado, guys. Nike basketball. As you see on the Chop Shop, that's how we roll. You never know who's going to rock through next. And we got a trio of guests going to join us shortly. And next up is
who we got?
I'm gonna surprise you as how to queuing him up in the dressing room.
Let me cue him up.
And this right here, we have a pair of Yates legends is joining us, along with the living legend, the Don of all Black sports journalists in all of Greater Houston. You cannot tell the story of Black media in period from any angle. Matter of fact, you can't tell the story of media in Houston without mentioning the name Ralph Cooper. And of course, Ralph Cooper is coming up next.
Hello.
With George Walker Sr.
Yes.
And Jimmy Blacklock. And a lot of
we might have to get off Jimmy. There's some more confusion on that line. So what we'll do, I'll bring them back just on them because we got all them guys in the line. So I'll be on the line by myself for a second. Everybody, it'll just be me right now. And I'll have to bring them all into a call again. But thank y'all for thank y'all for being patient with us today. No, we don't have to call. They're trying to call me back. Let me put Jimmy in the call. They don't have to call. I got them. Let me get this done. I hate to have dead air while we're talking, but no, I don't mean to do that. Let's go. So who the guy's going to be in the call? Let's go. We got Ralph Cooper. Y'all can walk me through it with me. I got to put Ralph Cooper in the call. Also got to put George. I'm introducing the guys already before they get here. Just 1 second. Ain't this a great show today? I mean, these guys, I just didn't realize, me not being from this city, I didn't realize how Yates has such rich tradition. I mean, I'm thinking it's all about basketball. Roland Martin is one of the most powerful men in media. Notice I said men, powerful men in media. And he graced the Chop Shop today. I'm ringing these guys up. It's just great. Yeah, I got you, baby. I'm gonna get you. I got you.
There we go.
I'm just waiting on y'all I got Jimmy back in there. Okay. Now we're gonna wait on the other guys to come. They trying to call. Now they just got they probably don't know how to join into the call, Jimmy. They call.
Yes. Yeah, you got to get Ralph back in.
Yeah.
And so that he will understand what's going on. Meanwhile, man, as you guys see, remember I told you we gave you the disclaimer going on and entering this show. This is our largest show by far, approximately over 20 guests that's joined us today. And we're going right through everybody. And George Walker is him. And he was a free sport athlete that, just phenomenal as far as the stories that that I've been told about him. He came out in 1975. Now, mind you, in 75, basketball, Yates High School was very, very good. But you know who won the state that year? And we'll let George, you put him up.
Keep talking, Jimmy. We there. Jimmy, these two guys we might not be able to bring on the show because for some reason something is going on. I can't even hear you.
Okay. What?
Okay. Just keep talking, and just go on with the show.
Okay.
We might not be able to bring these guys on. I can't even. Matter of fact, Jimmy, I'm gonna come out of it. I'm gonna come out of that whole program. That's just a bad program, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just gonna bring Jimmy back in. We'll bring Jimmy back in, and then I'll work myself around everybody else. I just make sure Jimmy is on the feed. Okay, Jimmy, you were off. You were off, Jimmy. You were off. You were off the air. Now you can come back in. I just brought you back. I'm just bringing you back in, Jimmy, because for some reason that's it's a dead sale over there trying to reach those two guys. So we just gonna probably move on. Let's try the next group of people. Okay.
Well, and our next guest, we're waiting on as you cue them up. That would be another former a trio of Yates High School graduates, and that would be Carolyn Evans Shabazz, Carl Davis, and George Stretch Campbell, and to acknowledge and shower the 2020 state basketball program with their success. We are joined right now. Harold is queuing them up and queuing everyone up. Meanwhile, I was telling you guys breaking news that the governor has announced that all Texas students will return to their physical school campuses this fall. And this is breaking news coming out of Austin, and especially with the increasing number of COVID cases. The decision has been made approximately 2 months ago to return to the campuses. So that means this will send plenty of administrations scrambling as to how they will enforce these safety measures, especially with the school buses, which a lot of people don't think about. This is going to be really tricky on how they're going to do. And how do you just let me know when you get everybody queued up, ready to post?
Well, we might. I'm calling the other one. I couldn't reach Carl Davis, so we might just. Okay, Jimmy Blacklock just joined. He tried to. I don't know how he got in this call, but I put him in the call, so we'll just play with him in the call.
Was I supposed to answer?
No, but that's all right.
Hang me up. I'll wait till my time. Just hang me up.
No, Jimmy, just stay there. Just stay there, Jimmy.
Okay.
But you got to push your video button. Got to push your video button. The one in the middle, because we can't see you.
Yeah, the camera.
The camera button.
There you go.
Okay. Jimmy, we'll just go with this set right here. We'll go with this set and continue the show because dead sales in each other. So you can introduce.
So we have Jimmy Blacklock and, of course, Carolyn Evans Shabazz. And these are two former Yates High School students. And, we welcome you guys to the Chop Shop today. First of all, can you share with the audience what year did you graduate from Yates High School, and what did that school does it mean to you?
Go ahead. I can't.
You're on mute. Take your mute off.
Take your mute off.
Me?
Yeah, no, not you. You good, Jim? I got you, Miss Black.
Hit the
I got you.
button.
Okay, let's see. I think, yeah, we had you. Let's unmute you.
Now, meanwhile, while we get ready to unmute her, you can come on with us and answer that question, Jimmy Blacklock.
Yeah, I'm 68, 69 year, and my time at Jack Yates High School was amazing. My high school career, my high school, as far as education, was awesome. Teachers were amazing back then. You know, they were like family, mothers and fathers while you were away in school, to your mothers and fathers while you were home. So, education-wise, I think we had it all. We had it all. There was not a problem. Of course, every school has bad seeds. You know, a few bad seeds, but for the most part, the coaching staff and the teachers were just outstanding and prepared us to our run into college and life, man. So my high school, listen, when I graduated, I remember walking home in my cap and gown crying. I thought the world was over. I thought the world had ended. Nothing else existed. Even though I had scholarships to go to colleges, I was blown away because I wouldn't see my friends anymore. And I was thinking if I go away and life would be different and what would life be like? And just a lot of things going through my head, but it all worked out. Thank God it worked out.
And so now, what did you do? Where did you go to college? What did you do after you finished Yates? You mentioned that it had such an impact in your life.
I wound up spending 2 years at a junior college called Tyler Junior College.
Yeah.
And
you couldn't drink down there, though. You couldn't drink down there.
Couldn't do anything down there. Couldn't barely move around down there. So
Dry County.
Dry County. So after 2 years there, national championship, I was chosen. I was picked as one of the first Black athletes to attend the University of Texas.
No, I'm sorry. I just got some information about you. Your son was the Texans pick, first pick, Texans pick this year.
Absolutely, yes. Thank God he did. He was, yeah.
What's his name?
His name is Ross Blacklock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did he play in college?
He played at TCU University. He was he was All-American. He's Big Ten Player of the Year. He was he's a pretty good player. Not bad. 6'5", 300 pounds. Pretty good player.
Okay, keep going.
And
Jimmy.
Heard so much about you in basketball. And share with the audience the year you say you graduated from Yates once again.
68. Yeah, 68 was my last year.
And that was the last year before. That was the inauguration, or I guess
inauguration.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I mean, the times back then, did you guys? What did that mean? What was the atmosphere like at Yates?
Not before the integration, not before, but not after it, right? That's what
you were the last year going into
Absolutely. The last year. We didn't play against many white schools. The only time we actually played against schools that wasn't segregated, other than the white schools, were the JC tournament, which they don't have anymore. I understand, like they don't have during Thanksgiving holidays, I think, Christmas holidays, JC tournament. So the only time I actually played against teams that were all white teams was during that time, just for that period of time during the year. Other than that, we were in the UIL league, basically.
The PBIL, I think that's what it was before that UIL, and a lot of people didn't realize. So you went to University of Texas,
yes.
And that was really, really where you were the first. You were one of the first Black players.
Basketball players, absolutely, yes, I was.
So I mean, so now during that time, this is this is around 70, about 70, 71, right about then, right?
Right, absolutely.
So now this is after the civil rights movement. You're going into a new decade. What is that? What was the atmosphere like at UT being a Black student athlete in 1971?
It was difficult at times. There were a lot of things happening that I had to shy away from, get away from, move away from, that I'd get into. I remember when I was being recruited after I signed to go to the University of Texas, there was a meeting with every coach in the school at the university and at every level. And I was put into a room, and pretty much everybody had something that they would want to say to me about the school, the university, and more or less where I'm supposed to be, where I stand, where things that I can and cannot do. So there was this huge board of things that I can and couldn't do, and where I could go and couldn't go. So I at first it didn't dawn on me until after I got to my dorm room, and then at that point I started thinking about what in the world have I got myself into. But I had signed the paperwork. I was in school. Oh, you can't hear?
Yeah, no, you good, Jimmy.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Don't pay me no attention,
and,
Jim. I'm
okay.
trying to get Carolyn. She's on. I see you mute. Let's speak to Carolyn right there. No, you hit the button.
Okay, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, there you go.
Woo!
Hey, baby.
Hey, Jimmy. How you doing?
Love you. Okay,
Love
I'm fine.
you too. That's
Yes.
one of my dad's finest right there, Mr. Jimmy Blacklock. Oh my God. Oh my God. Anyway, I am so honored to be here. I want to, congratulate Coach Wise and the 2020 state champs. And I have a particular love for Jack Yates, of course, because my dad was the basketball coach from 1958 to 1980. Can you believe that? And actually, he was the, according to the Basketball Hall of Fame magazine, or some Texas high school basketball magazine, he's number 51 in the state. That's black and white coaches of all time. And he had 608 victories, 109. Most of those victories, Jimmy Blacklock knows all about. And I'm just so honored to be here. Also, a couple of guys that are also on this Skype. Robert Dooley played, George Walker, and certainly Stretch Campbell. And so I am so very honored. Those were all people that I knew. I actually was raised in the halls of Jack Yates because my dad was a coach, and coaches back then had keys to the school. And so, and so you ran up and down the halls. My brother Bert and I, we swam in the pool. We did all of that. And so I am so honored to be here. And if you know, I'm the District D City Council member. And I know this call is running behind, but I got to go deliver some sanitizer supplies at the NAACP and various other organizations. So I'm going to change this shirt in a minute, but let's talk.
So now speaking of in the District D, you're a city council person. I mean, was that something that you always strive to be? At what point did your political antenna go up?
Well, actually, when I retired, I was what you call an evaluation specialist with the Houston Independent School District, and I'm still currently on the executive committee as assistant treasurer, but I'm also the chairman of the education committee. And so, going around and dealing with different issues regarding education kind of got this in my blood. And I was the first African-American female chairman of the board of the Houston Community College for the last 2 years. And then when Councilman Boykins, who's a dear friend, decided that he was going to, take another political run, the opportunity opened up and I said, it's now or never. And so I believe this is my calling. I really, really love doing this. And although it's very challenging with this COVID going on, and certainly with George Floyd, a beloved Jack Yates grad, it's been very challenging, but I'm very glad to be here so that I can try to help people, because that's my mantra. If I can help somebody as I pass along this way, then my living shall not be in vain.
Indeed.
Hey, Jimmy, I got a question. I got a question for the councilwoman. And no, it's a good one. I just want to know, because talking to these young people and mentoring these young people, they asked me, they said, Mr. Hatter, they said, and I'm gonna ask it to you, how can we emerge stronger from the pain of this current moment and work toward a better future?
Well, one of the things that was really disturbing to me about this pandemic, I had a huge event planned at the Houston Community College, because coming from an educational background, I know the value. And I'm not saying, you got to be doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, but there are trades that we need to really, really engage in, because at the end of the day, the people that engage in trades really make more money than the people in academia, depending on where you go. And so I believe that is the change maker. I really want people to come get a a certificate or something where they can take care of their families. Because what's happening, we're going into these jobs unskilled, and then we only make a few dollars an hour. Well, what happens, you have to work 2 and 3 jobs to keep a roof over your head. And then what does that mean? You don't get a chance to even engage with your children in school. That is so key. That is so important. And so if we can help people to realize their potential, their full potential in a trade or or something of that nature, or even an academic degree, if they have one, then certainly we need to move forward. That's how we change our neighborhoods. That's how we increase participation in civic engagements. That's how we take pride in our neighborhoods, because we really start buying into it. We can become entrepreneurs. And then we certainly want to look around our neighborhoods and make sure that they look the way we feel inside, which should be with pride. And hopefully the young people, I know when I was coming through, Jack Yates was it. And I speak about Jack Yates all the time. I just hope that the young people appreciate where they are and that they can embrace the history and the legacy and the opportunities. You have somebody like Jimmy Blacklock, who lived over on Sophomore Street, I remember. And but what is he now? He's the coach now with the Harlem Globetrotters. I mean, you have so many people who have just excelled in all areas. And they came from some of these little streets in Third Ward, Texas, or some of these streets off of Scott Street, Worthing High School. You know, I am partial. Everybody knows I'm partial to Jackson. But I have Jones High School, Sterling High School. But what I'm saying is we are a family, and we're going to have to lift ourselves up. And we can't make excuses. We have always been overcomers. We have always been overcomers. And police brutality has not increased. It's just now on video.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing all of these different things, but we're going to have to embrace who we are and show that Black lives matter, really. And I'm going to say that because I went to a funeral on Saturday of a young man who was killed in a guy walked up for various reasons. I won't get deep, but he killed him. And so that's when Black Lives Matter, when we stop killing each other as well, because when we look at how many police officers kill us and compared with how many we kill of our own, there is no comparison. But I'm going to say, we are going to have to do something about this police brutality. It's unbelievable. But me in my current position, I can't legislate a heart, but I can legislate consequences. And so that's where we're trying to go with it. And so that's it.
Awesome.
Mr. Blacklock.
I have nothing to say. It's over.
I'm sorry.
Drop the mic.
Like I say, it's a calling for me and my passion. So if I get a little carried away, like you guys, you have your passion, and sometimes I guess you get a little carried away, right?
Yes,
but
ma'am.
anyway,
I'm used to it. She's been like that all her life.
Uplifting the community, that's me.
Well, one of the things
I've known her.
Yeah, I mean,
that all of her life.
Jimmy,
one of the things on the Chop Shop is that we are trying to I guess reinforce our platform as a place where Miss Carolyn Evans Shabazz or Mr. Jimmy Blacklock can connect more with the community and can remind them and re-establish the signal that can beam through our streams, leave it alive, whether it be Facebook, whether it be YouTube, or whether it be on the television screen or throughout the radio airwaves. What we want to do is we are here to provide and help. There's an army of student athletes that are out here in our communities that are 17 years and 10 months old and eligible to vote, to register to vote. We have platforms, and I explained it so, and a lot of people, this is an untapped market, and I'm gonna ask before I'm gonna get back to you, Miss Evans Shabazz, what does the political realm think of that unmeasurable voting block of student athletes Think about all of the high schools in Houston, about 150 to 200 of them, public and private. Think about all of the 12th graders of those schools that may be 17 years, 10 months old, or older, that's eligible. The football quarterback, the running back, the star point guard, the star track person, the star baseball player, those are the captain of the cheerleaders, the drum major that comes out at the band with the band. Those are normally are leaders of the rest of their classmates. Does the political realm look at those or have any or paying any attention to those potential voters that can help them?
Well, that's an untapped market that we're tapping into. The NAACP young adults, they have voting registration drives. That's really important because I want to encourage everybody to vote. And if you don't vote, then you actually voted, whether you know it or not. You voted for the other person.
Hey, Council,
you're not
woman,
counted.
say that one more time
Oh.
to the people in the back.
If you're not voting, I'll say it slowly. If you're not voting, then you actually did vote for the other person because you're not counted on the other side. Right. And so certainly I hope that this needs to be taught. We have civics classes, or should, in high school, where we need to teach civic engagement. And that's really, really important because we have a very important election coming up here.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, it's not just a political, it's a moral election that's coming up. And we see what's going on, and we certainly need to make sure that we go out and exercise our right to vote. And don't let anyone tell you that voting is not important and they don't count my vote. There are many, many, many elected positions that are decided only by a few votes, and that could be yours. And so certainly, you know, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but certainly we all are going to have to make sure that our young people and parents, when your child graduates from high school, hand them a voter's registration if they haven't done it already. Make sure that that's a part of their graduation gift, because it's certainly a gift to us, the older generation that really needs them to engage.
And now, Jimmy Blacklock, I want to ask you your thoughts on the recent movement or the recent actions from the football players at your alma mater, University of Texas. And this is a different type of energy. Speaking of these young people that we're seeing in 2020. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Let me first harken back to what you just said, Ms. Carol Pinstone. I think rallying too is a hardcore way of getting kids out to vote. And I think if you start on high school levels at all of these young men and women that are leaders that you just named, basketball players, cheerleaders, the band coordinator, the band leader, all those are leaders in the schools. They're smart. People know them because they're smart, and they will come out wherever they want them to come out to sit and rally and talk about voter registration, all these things that we need for them to know at 17 and 18, and when at 18 they're ready to vote. So I agree with you, Councilwoman, and that's a pretty way of putting it how we should go at it. And go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just telling my
second question was how what's happening with the black athletes. I was in the University of Texas in the movement. The movement, I think it's about time. They didn't know how to go about it early on because they didn't have anyone and had anything to really grab and hold on to. It's a big university, and it's predominantly white. Let's just be honest with you. It's a ton of them. When I was there, it was only about maybe 150, just students alone, and we had our own black student union building at that time, one in which I only walked into 2 or 3 times. But the fact of the matter is, it seemed to be always guarded by somebody else other than us. So one of my points is, yes, I'm happy to see this. I am putting together a letter to the athletic department over at the University of Texas and the chairman of the board, and I'm going to shoot a letter to them and let them know my feelings about that. Yes, it's about time. When I first came, I was the only black. Then there was another black football player that was signed after me, Roosevelt Leaks.
Yes.
But before that, there was a guy by the name of Julius Whitaker in '65. which I had no idea. He was never talked about, but he played 2 or 3 years with UT Longhorns football team. So now they're trying to figure out, as you read it, that they're trying to give him a spot or a space in the stadium, put some monument there, or some statue, or just line up a seating area which is predominantly it's named by him. And of course, they're trying to do it. I don't know what they're trying to do in basketball. Of course, I was just on it there a couple of years ago, Basketball Hall of Fame, and this past season they brought me back. The Harlem Globetrotters made me a legend. So that rolled over to University of Texas. So I had 2 programs there where I actually started, and I felt more proud then than I did before. But I'm gonna tell you why, if I could do it real quickly.
Yeah.
When I first came to the school, I'm a young 17, 18-year-old guy. I'm out of Third Ward, Texas, out of an all-black school. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And everywhere I look on the street corner, there was a black face. You know, I'm going to a school where you got 80,000, 150,000 students or more. And my classroom was 500 deep, and I was on the spot in the classroom on every class I took. So, yeah, that was intimidating. And then, I went into this kind of a shell, and all I did was practice, eat, go to class. Never was out, never tried to go out. But when I did, I had to go to the black side of town. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, I went through a lot. I went through a lot. But you know what? We had a championship game. I was on my way to we've just beaten TCU for the conference championship. I was on my way to my dorm. I didn't shower. Just wanted to get away. Everybody was celebrating. I went back to my room because who am I celebrating with? I'm the only spot on the team, right? So I go back to my room, and I hear this guy calling me, running down the street. White guy. He gets to me, and he's huffing and puffing. He says, "Jimmy, I just want to tell you one thing. Thank you so much. You don't know what the impact that you've brought to this school and what it means in the future for other guys like you." Well, I'm 18, 19 years old. I'm saying, what does that mean? He don't know what he's talking about. Get out of the way. I'm thinking he's been drinking or whatever. I'm going to my room. And Lord, behold, years later, then you've got all these black players coming up. You got Durant, you got Ford. You just start naming a lot of them dots, and you've got Moore from played with the Spurs. You got all these black guys. But I walk down the street in places that I've gone in the past, and people will tell me, you don't know the impact you had. Had I not went to the school, had I said no, I didn't want to go because it was right. I had to talk to my high school basketball coach, her father. And he told me, he said, "I think you need to go. I think you should go. This is a great opportunity for you." That's what he told me. And that was the only reason I signed that paperwork. I came back to ask him. He said, "I think you should go." I consulted with him, and I think you should go. That's what he said. And he was at every game that we played at Rice. He was sitting in the stand smoking a pipe. And every point I shot, every basket I made her look up to me, he's shaking his head just like she's shaking her head.
Yes.
Yeah. But the impact, my point is, what they're doing at the school now, yes, I think it's about time. And I think it'll work because of Floyd, God rest in peace, and sorry it had to be like that. Because of Floyd, this would never happen. Yes. And let me tell you something. They're getting ready to have a movement on their campus. Yes. Because they've taken down a lot of Confederate statues. Because when I was there, I was looking around for them, and they told me, "Sorry, Mr. Blacklock, they've taken them down." And I'm just sitting there with tears in my eyes saying, "You gotta be kidding me." He said, They walked me to every one they took down. Every single one they took down.
I just want to say my dad would be phenomenally proud of you, Jimmy Blacklock. I know that I am, and my brother Bert, but I'm going to have to go. I put on my Yates hat.
Yes,
I got my shaker, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I got my Jack Yates trays. Can you see them? Okay.
See it.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. I have got to get to the NAACP. Thank you so much. Love you. Go Lions. Thank you.
She can't hear you.
Jimmy, you put yourself on mute.
No, I didn't. How?
Not you, Jimmy. The other Jimmy.
Carol,
Not you, Jimmy.
I got one question for you, Carolyn. I got one question for you, and I had to ask this question before you go. I got Jimmy here. Are you familiar with the Puff Fund?
Am I familiar with the
Puff Fund? The Puff Fund.
Puff, P-U-F?
Yeah, the PUF Fund.
I'm not.
Now, Jimmy Blacklock, I'm quite sure you're not. Are you familiar with the Puff Fund?
I'm not. I haven't been in Houston for a minute. So
tell them what the Puff Fund is real quick before we go.
It's just quick. The Puff Fund. I don't have the. It's some kind of. It's a fund that the University of Texas has that's been funded for years by the oil fields that they own, the land and the oil leases they own. And,
Wow.
and guess what?
Look it up.
Look it up. Now,
Please.
and they supposed to split it between A&M. They give A&M a little bit, and they give Prairie View a little bit, but the bulk of it goes to the University of Texas.
And this is part of the Texas Constitution.
Part of the Texas Constitution.
Over 2 million acres.
2 million acres.
And this is something, this really is called a PUF. It's the Permanent University Fund.
Permanent
It's
University.
nicknamed PUF Fund.
Yeah.
That's something really intriguing for history, for anybody that went to the University of Texas to know about. That's why that school is always one of the richest in the United States of America, and will always be, because that's most of a great deal of our oil reserves in Texas. It goes, I think, 2/3 to University of Texas, 1/3 I think goes to A&M, and that's for life. That's for life. It's written into the Constitution of the state.
Yeah.
But we look it up, and that's the PUF Fund. I just want to share it with you.
Yeah, we had
and,
it.
because I know.
I gotta find that.
But,
Oh yeah, you gotta check it.
Thank you so much.
You were a beneficiary of it. You just didn't know.
Thank you, Hatter.
But man, I'm just so proud of you, man. Let me tell you something. Mine Stretch, when you talk to Stretch, because I couldn't get him in today, ask him about when we were up in Colorado Springs with the Harlem Globetrotters, and Tex Winters was the coach. And they was trying to Jimmy. They wanted me to play, and I found out how much money they paid. I said, man, I make 3 times as much as that dude. I can't. Hey, I don't want to be no celebrity. I got to have this money. So yeah. So, but man, I'm so proud. Huh?
I'll ask Stretch.
Okay, I'll Stretch about it. Stretch.
Thanks a bunch, man. Jimmy Blacklock, guys, living legend.
We'll see you later.
Living legend, as you guys see.
Wow.
Jack Yates High School has put out they have a lot of distinguished alumni who are living right now.
Yeah.
And it just in these type of moments, it soak in and you guys realize it. And now we're going to and we have them joining us next. We're in overtime. Yes, we are.
Yeah,
we're in overtime period right now, and we have guests that's going to join us. And we have from inside the United States as well as across the pond, all the way from China. We have Joseph Young is with us right now via audio, on the hotline. Joe Young, what's going on, buddy?
Yo, what's up, man? How y'all doing? Doing good?
Joe, we're doing good. And Joe, Joe, you and I, this Robert, we're gonna talk for a minute. I'm gonna disconnect Jimmy and put him in the call with your family. So you and I, you can just give your congratulations right now to the Yates basketball team and whatever you want to say to the team right now. And I'm gonna bring your mom, your brother and your dad in with Jimmy in just a second. So you're welcome to do whatever you want to do right now, Joe. Joe, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard you, but it broke in and out.
He was saying that you're welcome. What we're gonna do is let you acknowledge the program from this past season, the Yates State tournament team, and then we'll remove the call so that we can go and we're gonna get your brother and your father on another separate call. They're waiting, so you can say your congratulatories right now.
Oh yeah, congrats.
Oh, that's right. He can't say it because he's on Jimmy feed, but that's all right. I'll get him back in, y'all. Oh my God. Let's see. Let's get Jimmy in first. This is hey, I'm doing mental calisthenics today. Hold up, let me get Jimmy back in.
Congrats to the whole organization of Yates, and for them to keep pushing. And you know, I'm a proud alumni, and I will always support.
And man, appreciate it, man. And we are definitely rooting for you up in China. And I understand you guys will start your season within 48 hours, right?
Yep, 48 hours.
Man,
48 hours.
Keep us posted. I'd say make sure you keep us posted in the next few days as to how things are going, because I know the NBA is watching you guys very closely as they continue to prepare to start their season.
Yes, correct. Okay, yes, I will keep you posted, sure.
All right. Hey guys, that is Joe, the mighty Joe Young from the class of 2010 to Yates High School. I mean, we love him to death. He's over. He took out the time of his day to acknowledge the Yates High School program, as well as letting everybody know that they start their season in 24 hours.
Why you stop talking, Jim? Because Mike over there eating. Hey, Mike, I'm not gonna put you on until you finish eating.
Oh,
Mike,
okay.
I got you, but I can't.
There we go.
You got
You
Joe
there?
back? I'm trying to bring Jacob in also.
Now what I have now, I got a special guest. We're gonna pop a Willie with this thing. We've got the legend Ralph Cooper is joining us with an audio call in the hotline, and we're waiting as in the dressing room. We have former Yates High School star, another living legend, and another distinguished alumni of the school. And I'm really, I'm gonna have to go and dig up. Yates might have more living distinguished alumni than any other school in HISD right now. And I'm really thinking that. Ralph Cooper, what do you think about that?
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate Yates, the basketball team, the alumni, and a special shout out to the George Floyd family. And when you talk about Yates, you're talking to a guy that was recruited to come to Yates for the journalism class by the late George McElroy. Jimmy Blacklock and Councilwoman Chavez, they knew him quite well. He recruited me to come to Yates, but I had been recruited by Show Brown, or introduced to journalism by Show Brown over at Worthing High School and stayed at Worthing. But when you talk about Santana Dotson, you talk about Al Dotson, his father, who was there before him. You talk about Joe Young and the young that came afterwards. You talk about Michael Young, who was there before them. I mean, when you talk about Yates High School, you could be talking next week this time, and you still miss some people.
And speaking of one of the people you just mentioned, we have Michael Young, right on cue, has joined via Skype and on the Chop Shop. Mike, welcome to the Chop Shop.
Thanks for having me. How y'all doing?
Oh man, we're doing great. I mean, as the father, first of all, think about it. You're one of the few who came through the program at Yates High School and has two sons to get Division I basketball scholarship. Matter of fact, you're the only. I don't know if it has resonated with you yet. You're the only basketball player that graduated from Yates to have two sons obtain Division I scholarships in the same sport. That adds to your history. How does that feel?
Well, I tell you, since you mentioned it, Jimmy, it just really dawned on me, but it's definitely a great feeling. Coach Wise has done a great job with the program over there, and of course, he's done a lot for my two boys in his program to lead them in the right direction for those scholarships to happen.
Now, when you were coming up, Ralph Cooper was probably back then, I think probably on KYOK back in the time. Tell us, what was your first time meeting Ralph Cooper? At what grade were you? Or how old were you?
I was a senior in high school. Ralph Cooper interviewed me. And I want to say I came down Alameda where he would be in the window right there. And I came in, he had me to come in and he interviewed me right there. He was my first interview. And Ralph Cooper has been involved in my life for a long time. We got a lot of respect for Ralph Cooper. He's done a lot for a lot of athletes here in the Houston area.
And I remember that quite well. The thing about Michael Young that has never changed, and in fact, it changed in regards to going up in a positive way. He shared it with his sons. They give so much back. He was a giving person, even back then, in regards to how he played the game of basketball and how he lived his life. And then he extended it via basketball on the pro level, being drafted by Boston, if my memory serves me right, going overseas, and then coming back and just being involved in the Houston community. We cannot thank him and his family enough for what they have done in regards to helping those who are coming behind, who came behind them, and they're still doing it.
Well, I mean, this is history that you can feel it coming through the screen.
Yeah.
I mean, and Ralph, a lot of people may not know. Explain them how long you've been on the radio dial in Houston.
I've been with Jimmy. I started in 1969. I started when a black athlete saw a black reporter, especially with the tape recorder. See, one of the things I picked up real early, tape recorder, they looked at you in a different way. And you trying to jot the notes down. I have watched the white guy trying to jot notes down. Then I go back and read what they wrote in the newspaper, and I see it was all screwed up. So I said, the best thing for me to do is go buy me some tape recorders. And when you showed up with the tape recorders, it was a different kind of thing, because now not only could they read what you wrote, then you got in the radio and they could hear themselves, and that was a huge thing to them and also to Ralph.
And now, Mike, a lot of people may not be abreast. Can you remind them about your post-high school career? You know, sometimes we got to remind people. I mean, sometimes a lot of people forget.
Well, my senior year, my high school career at Yates was pretty good. Not bad. You know, I started off playing football there. And I came into the gym as a 10th grader and never left. Never went back to football, stayed with basketball. That was my passion. That's what I was really good in. I could have went either way, but hey, had a great 3 years at Yates High School. Lost out in the playoffs to Kashmir, trying to get to the state. But during my senior year, we were #1 in the state of Texas. So, you know, the high school career for me was pretty promising.
Hey, Mike, can you say that again? Let Howard, because he didn't hear you. Let him know who you guys lost to going in the playoff year or your senior year. Howard didn't hear it. You know, he's from Memphis, so he don't really know all the schools. Who you lost to again?
Kashmir.
Mike,
there you go.
Mike, how you let them beat you? How you let Kashmir beat you, man?
The ball slipped out of somebody's hand and went in at the buzzer.
I knew it had to be some.
Go to the playoffs. Only one team go to the playoffs. Unlike what they do now with 3-4 teams going to the playoffs. And that Kashmir team that they lost to, just like them, those were two of the greatest teams to ever come through Houston. In fact, Tommy Malone was a great player, but he wanted to beat other people with that slowdown ball. And you got Michael Young, correct me if I'm wrong. You got Stacey Belcher, you got Carmen Holcomb. If he had allowed those guys to run, I think I could have coached the team running and won a state championship. And again, Ricky Winslow, it's no knock on what happened, but that's the way it was back then.
But then Ricky was 2 years after you, wasn't he, Mike?
Yes.
That was 83. That's the team that lost to Fort Worth Pascal. And that team, Ralph, would you consider that Ricky Winslow, Carvin Holcomb, Stacey Belcher, Bernard Pink, Jimmy Black, all those guys on that, do you consider that team the best team from Houston to not win a state championship?
No. They were one of the best teams from Houston not to win a championship. The best team from Houston not to win a championship. They lost the game in 3 overtimes at Prairie View in the old PPIL. 1965-66, we had Worthing to lose to I.M. Terrell. in 2 overtimes in a game back in the day, and they still talk about that game. James Cash was playing for the Fort Worth team, and he went on to play at TCU, become the first black, I think, to get a scholarship in basketball in the Southwest Conference. All 8 guys filed out for work, and they still lost the game, if I'm correct, by 1 point. And the Baby Dome was packed. There had people outside, about 4,000 or 5,000 people outside listening on the radio back in the day. So all of, and then we've had so many great teams. That was a great team. And like I said, I think I could have coached that team drunk with them running and won a championship. But that's the way it happened. They slowed it down.
Hey, Mike, speaking of, I mean, we're having a blast to the past. Speaking of Yates basketball, do you remember which game during not the playoffs, but a regular season game presents the fondest memory of you when you played high school basketball at Yates?
Well, whenever I played, the district was so competitive, man. You had Jones and Wheatley and Sterling. I mean, Austin. Everybody you played against, it was no blowouts. All of them were games. So, I really enjoyed playing high school basketball. It was so competitive, and it was much different than it is now. Milby. I mean, so many schools, but I always loved playing against Wheatley.
Oh, really?
Wheatley played that up tempo, and I think all of the battles during my time at Yates, I would say that I won those battles. My team won those battles. Wheatley was always fun to play against.
What was the largest crowd that you played in front of when you were at Yates?
At Hofheinz Pavilion, whenever we made a mistake and Kashmir beat us.
Oh,
there's so many people there for the game. The fire marshals wanted to shut the game down. They wanted to put everybody out of Hofheinz Pavilion, and the athletic director, Joe Tusa, and late Leroy Vaughn of the Forward Time were 2 of the people who persuaded the fire marshals not to call it. There was a double hitter, if I'm correct, Mike. Correct. There was 2 games being played that night on a weekday night, and you had people around the corridors all around the corridors at the top in Hofheinz Pavilion that particular evening.
Exactly.
I want to add something before I get beat up, and I don't want the young people beating me up. The greatest Yates team, in my opinion, never to win a championship, never to get out of Houston to play for a championship, and they lost only 2 games, if I'm correct, that year. With the Yates team, again, they lost to Wheatley, I think, twice. Wheatley goes to state, Yates stays at home. Yates only loses 2 games. They played in the old University of Houston field house. You had about 4,000 or 5,000 people outside listening on the radio. And again, another super crowd on a weekday night. 125 to 121. No 3-point shot. And if I'm correct, no dunking in that game at that time. But no 3-point shot. And 8-minute quarters, no overtime. 125 to 121.
Wow.
When the game was over, the 2 officials, their shoes were smoking. The late Robert Wiley and Byron Johnson were still there. Their shoes were smoking from running up and down the floor trying to keep up with the players in that particular game.
And now, lastly, Mike Young, as a father, is there anything, can you share with us, lastly, is there anything that you installed in your sons that helped them to be able to navigate through a routine police traffic stop as they were coming up?
No, just being who I raised them to be. Police officer have a job to do. If he asks you for whatever he asks you for, you participate with him and let him do his job. That's all you can actually do, and I'm still having those conversations with them right now.
Mm-hmm.
Guy pull you over, pull over, give him your insurance, give him your license. But I also have told them this too: if you're riding down a dark street and he has his lights on you, don't stop until you get to an area with some light, where y'all can really see each other. Keep driving until everything can be visible.
Hey man, and you've done a great job at raising your boy, your sons, your family, as well as you've done great for yourself. So we want to acknowledge you as you in your efforts to go and acknowledge the Yates High School basketball program of 2020, the state tournament team. And Ralph Cooper, we got to get you back on one day next week to chop it up some more.
I just want to do the same. I want to just commend Michael, his son, and wish his son the best of run playing overseas, what's going on in the world right now. And you always get me back, but I just had to get in. I wanted to get in, and I want to come on and enjoy it. I know how great my team is, and I want to come hook me up when you get on. And let me share some stories. Not only were you great, but when they were right. Then you have to help anybody.
All right.
Cut him, Jimmy. Can't hear him. You can't hear him. Can't hear nothing he's saying. So it's just, let's just cut him off, and let's finish this segment, Jimmy.
And now we have it. Of course, we appreciate, and that is the Ralph Cooper, and that was by audio, and we're gonna get him on with next week with a better signal that you guys will be able to interpret in a more proper tone. But I think it was reverb and to some nature, and you guys, Al said he could not hear on that end. But anyway, we definitely appreciate you, Michael Young, as well, and everything that you're doing, and keep pushing. The community definitely is watching it and acknowledging and appreciates your efforts as giving back with Yates basketball. And lastly, I don't know if you heard, but some Santana Dotson and Roland Martin has already initiated the conversation about next year. They say at some point next year doing a crawfish ball cookout and acknowledging somewhere probably at the Yates campus or somewhere. So want to let you're a barbecue man. You might want to try out that kit and join your fellow Lions in their efforts.
Without a doubt, I will definitely tap into that. That's the first that I heard of that, but they can definitely count me in.
And so we once again, guys, that is Michael Young, and we appreciate everything. And thanks so much. We get ready to go and get ready to land the plane on the Chop Shop.
We're gonna land. We can land the plane, Jimmy, because John Lucas and we had a couple of more guests, Jimmy, but guess what? We're just gonna bring them back on another time because we want to make sure they have. I mean, Yates is just show we have guests. We got guests that couldn't get on the show today. Jimmy, this Yates, we already know Yates is not a 2-hour show. It's got to be almost a 5-hour show. So that just tells the testament of that program as in that school. And I mean, I'm just thinking about how Roland Martin in the media, Michael Young, Ricky Winslow, Carvin Holcomb, man, Jimmy Blacklock, Joseph Young, Jacob Young, I mean, Johnny Bailey, that school right there on that campus, and it right there in the heart of the city, are producing not only just athletes but great young men, and that's what I get out of it, Mike. From a guy on the outside looking in, that when I got to Houston, that's the first school that everybody talked about is Yates, and then the next school after that was Madison. So Jimmy, a shout out to Greg Wise, his coaching staff, And I see how those guys work. Those young men, Reuben Jones, I think the captain or the leader, all the way down to the JV team. Man, this show was for you young men today. We just had a whole lot of dignitaries, y'all VIPs, the people that y'all standing on their shoulders, because if it wasn't for them, it wouldn't be no you. So to all of those young men in this class this year, I mean, my congratulations to you. Great champions. You had some powerful people speak on your behalf today. And that's why I would like to end it, Jimmy. We can end it just like that.
Absolutely. And so with that being said, I want to thank everybody for tuning into the Chop Shop today in this historic fashion as we attempted to navigate through approximately between 15 to 20 guests, which was the first time ever. And I would say not bad for no test run.
No test.
No sound check.
Yes.
No engineer. So Robert Hatter, in case you guys didn't know, sit there and engineered through the entire broadcast from his end. And this is not an easy task. So now we know the parameters for which we must, as moving forward, if we in this type of setting, what will have to go into place in order for it to happen. And whereas it would without being a deficiency or a hindrance to your eyes or ears. So, but we want to thank you guys for whoever you who held on and watched the show throughout its duration. Thanks to all of the guests. It was quite a blast to the past. We thank everybody again. But now, as we enter into the weekend, it's time to slide on down Dino's back and yabba dabba do this thing as we head on throughout a safe weekend. Make sure you guys are safe.
Jimmy,
make sure you be smart.
Can I end the show with your commercial?
Give them something to laugh to then.
Whoa! All grassroots programs ages 11U to 17U. Mark your calendars right now. July the 9th through the 12th, the George McClellan Invitational. That's right. The GMI is coming to H-Town. Reserve your spots today. Simply go to our website, gmfcares.com. That's gmfcares.com. See you at the GMI.
That wasn't bad, old man. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
That wasn't, hey, not bad.
Hello, basketball community. This is Brian Jolivet with Above All Sports Hoops. I'd like to welcome all of you to the Houston National Summer Showcase, July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Please visit our website at www.aboveallsports.com and register today. Attending the event will be Doug Jones with RCS Sports and Ball So Hard as our scouting agencies. We have processes in place to support social distancing and protect the athletes. Should you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, 281-414-8103. Thank you.
Hey, we out of here, Jimmy. Go. We done yabba dabba dude it. They got me in a whole nother. They got me in a whole nother screen, but it's okay. I'm out of here. See y'all. What'd you say, Jimmy? Watch this.
Jim Hicks, Rob Hatter. You are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro. Let's get it. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop.